Okay, hello and welcome to PMQs and Autumn Budget here on Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes. They are about to get started in Parliament. The Prime Minister has taken his seat and we're just getting questions about Scotland at the moment. So if we pop over, we'll see the Scottish questions being answered.
Can I welcome in the gallery His Excellency, the Honourable
here we go. PMQs.
Smith, the Australian High Commissioner to the UK.
So PMQs at 12, Autumn Budget at half 12.
Stephen's term as High Commissioner comes to an end. We wish him all the best in retirement and thank you for what you've done in the UK. We now come to questions to the Prime Minister. Rachel Hopkins.
Question 1, Mr Speaker.
If you want to join into the chat, all you need to do is subscribe, press the subscribe button, and you can join the chat. And we can make fun of whatever's happening. Whatever's happening.
An incredible servant and a
it doesn't look good,
United Kingdom.
Says
we
Liam.
wish him well in everything he does.
It's been ages making that logo.
Mr Speaker, today's budget will be a Labour budget with Labour values.
New animation.
To deliver for the British people.
Oh, he said deliver already. Bloody hell, straight out the blocks.
I know what it feels like to sit around the kitchen table worried about
Because his
bills
dad
that can't be
was a
paid.
tool maker.
That's why this budget is for families.
My
who I know today
daddy was a
are
tool
equally
maker.
worried about the cost of living. That's why we're rolling out free breakfast clubs, free childcare and free school meals. And today we'll be going further to deliver the change we're
He said
elected
it again.
to bring about.
Deliver.
Cutting
Oh my
NHS
God, we've
waiting
got to get
lists,
delivering
cutting the national debt
so much.
and cutting the cost
All the
of
delivering.
living. Mr Speaker,
All the
this morning I had
deliverance.
meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Rachel Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. For years and years, rail fares have gone up and up, but this is set to change next year. Can the Prime Minister confirm that commuters in my constituency will see around £400 saving on their annual season ticket as a result of this government freezing rail fares? And can he confirm this is only possible because we have a Labour government?
Well, I can confirm next year we're freezing rail fares for the first time
Turn
in
it up.
30 years.
Okay.
Saving millions
I've
of
turned it up
commuters
to
hundreds
11.
of pounds. And yes, that's
Spinal
only
Tap
possible
reference
because
there.
we have a Labour government investing in Great British Railways and putting more money in the pockets of passengers. Contrast our approach with the leader of the opposition who says the minimum wages
Thank you
are
very much
burden, she
for the
thinks,
super chat.
and she wants to means test the state pension.
I can't turn it up any
Can
more
I
than
come
that.
to
I don't
the
know.
Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Badenoch.
Blasting through into my ears.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I first pay tribute to the many farmers
Kemi
who have come
Badenoch.
to Westminster today?
Do I need to turn me
Protest
down?
the shameful attack on them in last year's budget. I want them to know that Conservatives stand with them. Mr. Speaker?
Yeah. They arrest them, we stand with them.
Mr. Speaker, this has been the most chaotic lead-up to a budget in living memory, with resignations, hostile briefings, and...
Can I just say to a couple of you, if you don't want the budget, make your mind up now.
You don't want the budget? Well, yeah, I think half of the House don't want
Nobody
the
wants
budget.
this budget, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah. Why did you set that up?
With
Why did you
resignations, hostile briefings and leaks galore, even just in the last 10 minutes, an unprecedented leak of the OBR analysis.
Unbelievable.
Mr. Speaker,
Unbelievable,
these leaks
said
have been so
someone at the
serious
back
that
there.
even the former chief economist of the Bank of England has said, and I quote, that Labour's fiscal fandango is the single biggest reason why growth has flatlined. Does the Prime Minister agree with Andy Haldane, and does he have an explanation for this complete shambles?
We all know the biggest shambles in living history, the Liz Truss budget.
Well, mention your dad.
And what did she say? Did she say, I don't agree, this must be wrong? No, she said, I think Liz Truss is 100% right. 100%. Not much room for flexibility. Not one thing was wrong with it, in her view. So we won't be taking
mention your
lectures
dad.
from her. Matters for the
Oh,
OBR,
not taking
the OBR.
lectures.
The
They said
Chancellor set
it.
out the budget
Not
in
taking
just a few
lectures.
minutes' time.
Kemi Badenoch.
Mr. Speaker, we're talking about the leaks. The Prime Minister doesn't seem to appreciate the impact of these budget leaks on the UK economy. Even the Chief Secretary to the Prime
Even
Minister
the
has
Chief.
said this morning that the leaks were
Even the Chief.
unacceptable. So will the Prime Minister launch an investigation into the budget leaks and punish those responsible?
Mr. Speaker, it's literally about 25 minutes before the budget will be set out in all, where we'll take further decisions. The Chancellor set it out, but thanks to the decisions she's already taken, we've got 5 million extra NHS appointments, waiting lists are coming down, mortgages are cheaper, we've expanded free school meals. That's 100,000 children lifted out of poverty, a moral mission for this government. Compare that to the record opposite any day of the week.
Mr. Speaker, he talks about the decisions she's already taken. If they were that great, we wouldn't have all those farmers outside protesting. He doesn't want to talk about leaks, but we can see that the chaos in number 10 is having real-world consequences. Instead of focusing on the economy, they've been fighting like rats. Several journalists reported that number 10 sources had briefed against the Health Secretary and other senior cabinet ministers. The Prime Minister then told us that these briefings did not come from number 10. Will he repeat on the floor of the House the claim that none of his advisers has briefed against members of the Cabinet?
That's quite a good question, actually.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. Oh, no, thank you, SG. It would be unbearable without you. Thank you.
Cabinet ministers. And the Health Secretary. The Health Secretary is doing a fantastic job.
Go on, say your dad was a toolmaker. Daddy was a toolmaker.
Just before the last election, he said we'd deliver 2 million extra appointments for the NHS.
He's going to deliver something. What's he going to deliver?
Labour government. There he is. What did he do? Not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 million extra appointments for the NHS. They don't understand this language, Mr. Speaker, because they left everything absolutely broken.
Mr. Speaker,
the
Prime
£22 billion
Minister
black
expects
hole.
us to believe him. No one does. We all know that he did not have a serious leak inquiry. What he did, Mr. Speaker, was he asked Morgan McSweeney to investigate Morgan McSweeney, and then Morgan McSweeney discovered that Morgan McSweeney was innocent. All of this calls into question the Prime Minister's judgment.
Yeah, I'm going to give her that.
All of this calls into question the Prime Minister's judgment.
Do you know what I missed? I missed the earlier emergency trust. We had an emergency trust.
Back in his cabinet. He
Should have
must have
mentioned
forgotten that she had to resign only a few months ago for tax evasion. When did the Prime Minister decide that lawbreakers can be lawmakers?
Mr. Speaker, while she's scrolling through Twitter, we've delivered rail fares frozen, prescription charges frozen, the minimum wage boosted. We're focusing on the cost of living, the single most important thing for this country. She's focusing on tittle-tattle.
Kemi Badenoch.
It's not tittle-tattle, Mr. Speaker. We all know that he's only talking about welcoming the Deputy Prime Minister back because he is desperate to shore up his crumbling leadership. But if he were to welcome her back,
she has got him here.
will he set a condition that she
Excellent
must
point
pay
about
back
McSweeney.
the £40,000 of property taxes she avoided, the same property taxes they're very happy to put on everyone else, and will she also return her £17,000 of severance pay?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the former Deputy Prime Minister is the biggest social mobility story this country has ever told. She started from humble beginnings and fought her way to the very top.
Tell him that your dad was a toolmaker.
What she's achieved in politics. I'm very proud of everything she's done for this Labour government.
Yeah, but was her dad a toolmaker? No, don't think so.
That sounds like a no, Mr. Speaker. I've never heard the Prime Minister speak so highly of people avoiding their taxes. But in summary, this just looks like a government that is a slow-motion car crash. His cabinet are briefing against each other, his MPs are planning for life after him, and the most chaotic run-up to a budget in recent memory is happening on his watch.
It is the most chaotic run-up to
Even the Chief Whip is telling MPs
budget.
that he wants out. The truth is simple, Mr. Speaker. His MPs don't trust him, the markets don't trust him, and the public certainly don't trust him.
Quick, mention
when will
trust.
He finally accept that the chaos starts
Starmer.
and ends with him?
Go on, he's going to stand up and he's going to mention trust. What's
the
this?
most chaotic budget was the Liz Truss.
Yes,
budget.
emergency trust unlocked.
Woohoo! Suffering from that damage. And what did she say about Liz Truss? She obviously does still think it. When asked, was Liz Truss right? 100% right, she said. The most chaotic, damaging budget there's ever been. And she sticks by it. I'm very interested to see her response to this budget if she thinks Liz Truss got it right. Mr. Speaker, what we're doing is focusing on cutting waiting lists, cutting the national debt, cutting the cost of living, renewing our country, a Labour budget with Labour values, delivering for the British people.
Delivering!
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At the moment, everyone is being bombarded with adverts and emails for Black Friday, encouraging them to spend money on so-called time-limited deals, leading to panic buying,
Famous one step ahead.
via regret, and not to mention
I knew he was going to
impact
bring
on
out the
planet,
truss.
with delivery and returns of
Delivery. Oh, I haven't got a delivery. I've got delivering.
Does he agree with me that instead of rushing to buy online, people should look to their high streets to support local businesses and keep money in the local economy this Christmas?
Yes. Thank you for inspiring the trust
I want
button.
to see our high streets thriving, and I would encourage everyone to support local businesses this Christmas. Through our small business strategy, we got £3 billion boost to help small businesses
like
expand,
a kipper.
and we've tackled the most significant reforms to tackle late payments, the most significant in 25 years, Mr. Speaker. And the Chancellor will have to say more about that in just a moment.
Sir Ed David, leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Right, sensible questions. Sensible questions from
Speaker.
Ed.
We've just seen in the leaked OBR documents that taxes are going up to a historic record high.
Because of Brexit.
So will the Prime Minister explain why Labour is hiking people's taxes instead of fixing the £90 billion Brexit black hole in the public finances by growing our economy with a new, detailed, brilliant trade deal
Grow the economy!
with our European partners?
Grow the economy,
Well,
Mr.
we
Keir.
have to
Grow the
wait
economy.
a few minutes for the full details of the budget. But, Mr. Speaker, every week he comes here with the same problem. He always wants
Do you
more
reckon that
spending,
Rachel's
but he never
watching
wants to
me?
say
She's on
how
her
he's gonna
phone.
raise the
She's
money
watching
for it.
this.
The two
She's
things
watching this on her
can't go
phone.
together.
She doesn't look very impressed, does she?
Speaker, we want to grow the economy, not tax the economy.
Grow the economy! Way! Said it again.
Take him on to another issue, Mr. Speaker.
Go for it, Ed.
I hope everyone in the House shares my alarm that a former leader of a political party in Wales has been found guilty of betraying our country
Yes.
and has now been sentenced to over 10 years in prison for his treachery.
Treachery.
The Prime Minister said that reform should hold an independent investigation, and he is right. But we both know that that's not going to happen. So given reform won't, he must.
Yes.
So will he now launch a national investigation into Russian infiltration into our politics?
Yes! Here, here! Woo!
To highlight
Call me a
this
lib
very
dab.
serious case, a long sentence for pro-Russian bribery in the Reform Party at the highest level. You would think a leader of a political party would want to get to the bottom of that and ask the question, how on earth did that happen in the Reform Party? And what other links are there between Reform and Russia?
59,000
But no, the leader
signatures
of
now.
Reform doesn't want to do it because, Mr. Speaker, we know. Let's
get that link in the chat. Go to that link. Go to that link.
Is riddled with pro-Putin propaganda.
You didn't say you were going to have a
Thank
fucking
you, Mr. Speaker.
inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, after 8 years of traffic chaos and increasingly creative traffic diversions, residents of Parkside and Marston and Grange in my constituency are beginning to wonder whether the A513 at Beaconside is a permanent monument to the traffic cone. In the time that Staffordshire County Council and Taylor Wimpey have taken to complete one stretch of road, we've had 6 Prime Ministers, not to mention Notre Dame burned down and was rebuilt using medieval building techniques. So what can be done to hold developers and local authorities properly to account so that essential infrastructure is delivered on time with minimum disruption?
Yeah? Yeah? Good one.
It's staggering that an important upgrade for drivers to improve their journeys has been delayed for 8 long years. And I understand the scheme is currently being held up by the Reform-led council, Kel Sabri, who are proving as hopeless in local government as everybody anticipated. Mr. Speaker, we've invested £24 billion in our roads, and I call on Staffordshire Council to end the delay, get on with the job, and get this scheme started for her constituents.
Alison Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. University Hospitals Sussex currently have 350 people, well enough to go home, for occupying beds. That is the same number of beds as in Princess Royal Hospital in Haywards Heath in my constituency. The reason they can't go home is because there is no social care package for them to go to. This is terrible for them, puts strain on the trust and is ruinous to the taxpayer. Given there is no urgent plan to reform social care, what is the Prime Minister's plan to bring them home for Christmas?
Well, as she knows, we are...
Sorry, I am going to stop it there because just minutes before the Prime Minister got to his feet in Prime Minister's Questions, the Office of Budget Responsibility published its economic and fiscal document before Rachel Reeves delivered her budget. This is absolutely unprecedented. And sources confirm that the OBR released it early by mistake. By mistake. Fuck me.
Reforming social care. I've asked Baroness Katie to lead on that. And she's had the first of her cross-party meetings to build consensus, which is obviously what we need on this. As I've said out a number of times, the first phase will report in 2026, so we can reform as we go on. There will obviously be a phase after that. And I remind the House we've already boosted social care funding by £3.7 billion. Record increases also to the carers allowance and £500 million for the first ever fair pay agreement to properly recognise and reward carers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is the Prime Minister aware that because of the decision by Reform's Durham County Council to scrap support introduced by Labour in 2013, a typical working family in Stanley will be £170 worse off? How would the Prime Minister contrast the values of this Labour government with a Reform Party dividing our country and hitting working people in their pockets?
Well, I thank him for raising this. The more we see of reform, the more we see their true colours. In this case, making people £170 worth off. But their true colours also in relation to the member for Clacton. His explanation, Mr. Speaker, in recent days, in relation to the stories about what he may have said in the past, is unconvincing to say the least. He says he never engaged with racism with intent. With intent. What does that mean? Didn't engage with racism with intent. I have no doubt that if a young Jewish student was hissed at to mimic the sound of a gas chamber, they would find it upsetting. He may want to forget that. They won't. He clearly remembers some of what happened. He should seek those people out and go and apologise to them.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Lewis, not his real name, is an Eastbourne boy with special educational needs who was left traumatised after his passenger assistant relentlessly and brutally restrained him on his home-to-school transport. It only became clear to Lewis's mum, who's in the gallery today, what happened on that day when he returned home visibly distressed and bruised. And that's because, shockingly, there is no statutory requirement to report incidents of physical restraint on school transport, nor national training standards. So will the Prime Minister address this loophole in his upcoming SEND reforms to ensure that SEND children in Eastbourne and beyond can travel to school with the safety and dignity that they deserve?
Well, can I say to him and to Lewis's mum, who's with us, that incidents like that should not be happening.
It looks like when Rachel Reeves was looking at her phone then and looking quite despondent, she was looking at the gilt yields, which have fallen sharply in response to the OBR mistakenly publishing their report before the budget. This is a fucking shambles. It's embarrassing.
I know that he's met, I think, with the Education Minister to discuss this. Every child should have tailored support, including on transport to school, and I can reassure him and Lewis's mum that that principle will be central to our reforms.
Jenny Riddle-Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, Roman Osborne, a 10-year-old in my constituency, hand-delivered a letter to 10 Downing Street to tell the Prime Minister about an accident that he had outside his primary school at Trimley St Martin in February, which left him spending 3 days in hospital and many, many more months recovering. Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister back my campaign, Safer and at the Gates, and will he call on Tory-led Suffolk County Council to do the right thing and re-review the road and put the right safety measures in place outside Trimley St Martin and the other schools in my constituency?
Can I thank her for that and thank Roman for his letter, which I took time to read last night. And I wanted just to read a short sentence from it, from Roman. He said this accident wouldn't have happened if there was a safe place to cross the road. I'm concerned for other children's safety, and I don't want another accident like mine. to happen again to anyone else. Mr. Speaker, what an incredible young boy, aged just 10. I totally agree with him, and I say to Roman, this is what we're going to do. Roman, I've asked ministers to work with all the right people to look at his school and get a safe crossing in place. And the Roads Minister will be happy to meet my honourable friend to discuss the road safety strategy.
Mr. Speaker, this morning I met with farmers on Whitehall, and on Saturday farmers supplying milk to family-run White Farms who have been making traditional cheddar cheese near Bruton for 160 years. They all told me, Mr. Speaker, the family farm tax as it stands will devastate their businesses. So if he really wants growth, will the Prime Minister listen to farmers, industry, the EFRA Select Committee, even his own MPs, and pause and rethink this damaging and regressive tax?
Mr. Speaker, we've invested a record £11.8 billion into sustainable farming this Parliament, and we set out a 25-year farming roadmap focused on increasing year-on-year productivity and profitability in farms. That is vitally important.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, the COVID inquiry reported that 23,000 deaths occurred in England in the first wave of the pandemic that could have been prevented due to the UK response being too little too late. These were not just 23,000 deaths, Mr. Speaker. These were 23,000 people who had family and friends who loved them, and valuable lives that were cut short due to an abysmal failure of leadership by Boris Johnson and his government. They were categorically failed by a Prime Minister who prevaricated, delayed and prioritised political expediency over making the tough decisions that could have averted tragedy. If the Prime Minister were to lead us through the next pandemic, will he value saving lives above all else?
Yes.
Well, she's right. The report is a sombre moment, and it's important to remember the scale of suffering and the scale of the loss of life, which is made clear in the testimonies of the families in the report. And to remember the incredible contribution of frontline workers and everyone who focused on protecting others.
Cool.
Mr. Speaker, we're committed to learning the lessons needed from the COVID inquiry to protect and prepare us for the future. And the pandemic does still weigh heavily on our public finances and our NHS. That's why we've already conducted a pandemic exercise to test preparedness and agreed a historic global pandemic agreement to improve our ability to prevent global disease threats alongside our partners.
Adam Dance.
Mr. Speaker, I hope the Prime Minister will agree with me that the defence industry in Somerset is a key engine for growth, jobs and innovation. Leonardo in Yeovil is making a fantastic progress with the Proteus uncrewed helicopter, but the future of that project, thousands of jobs at the site in Yeovil and the 320 million Leonardo contribute to local GDP is dependent on the new medium helicopter contract. Will the Prime Minister reassure my constituents that he supports the industry in Yeovil, and will his government finally get round to awarding this long overdue contract?
Well, can I pay tribute to those in Somerset and his constituency in the defence sector, which is hugely important to our country and our security. I can confirm we're continuing with the establishment procurement process for the new medium helicopter programme to deliver modern equipment for our armed forces. That's part of the biggest sustained boost to our defence since the Cold War, and I'm determined to see a defence dividend of investment in British jobs and apprentices, including in his constituency. Mr. Speaker, that builds on the £8 billion Typhoon deal that we've secured, the £4 billion maritime deal with Indonesia, and the £10 billion frigate deal with Norway.
Serena Blackenbridge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I joined Wensfield men walking and talking on International Men's Day, a fantastic group who are strengthening our community through good company and what Stephen calls a growing band of brothers. In an age of pressure, polarisation and endless phone scrolling, they bring men together to support one another. Will the Prime Minister join me in congratulating all involved and explain how the first ever men's health strategy will back similar grassroots initiatives?
Can I thank her? It is so important that men have the space and support from their peers to discuss their mental health. Can I thank men walking and talking for the work that they do that makes such a difference? We were proud to launch our men's health strategy last week to get more men the support they need. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to take a moment to thank my honourable friend for Cannock Chase, for his honesty and bravery on International Men's Day. And I say again, men speaking so truthfully about their experiences is so powerful and inspires more to do the same. He's a credit to this House.
Great job. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Consequential to President Trump's misunderstanding of Putin's assessment going forward into, I've got it completely wrong, so let me do it without notes. There we are. What a day to do it. President, I can't. I've completely lost it, and I apologise. So let me read it. Let me read it because I'm going to carry on.
Please.
I'm afraid the Prime Minister's not going to go away that easy.
Sort your shit out.
Consequential to President Trump's misunderstanding of Putin's strategic intent for both Ukraine and Europe is the Prime Minister's solemn responsibility to keep this country safe. Given the hypersonic missile threat and the ballistic missile threat, known threat from Russia, and the fact that the United Kingdom has no current counter to that, what is the Prime Minister going to do to keep this country safe from those that have already threatened us?
I thank him for his question and his contribution to this important debate, and of course the contribution he made yesterday as well. It is the first duty of the Prime Minister to keep this country safe. It's the duty that is paramount and above all else, and I take it extremely seriously and treat it as my #1 priority. We review our security and defence arrangements all of the time, and we are particularly a leading member in NATO, which is the single most effective military alliance the world has ever seen.
Ben Coleman.
The world has
Thank
ever
you, Mr.
seen.
Speaker. My constituents in Chelsea and Fulham tell me that our top national priority must remain, as it is, economic growth. So does the Prime Minister agree that the swiftest way to achieve growth is for the government to be even more ambitious in negotiating with the European Union to remove the new red tape and trade barriers that have been holding back UK businesses, especially small and medium-sized ones, since the Conservatives' poorly managed exit from the European Union?
He's right,
Well, the deal we struck with the EU will deliver on what the British public voted for last year, which is, as he says, boosting economic growth and restoring positive relations.
How about you rejoin the single market?
Is worth £9 billion to our economy in 2040.
How about 100
It includes
billion?
an SBS agreement to cut supermarket prices and boost export opportunities. And the tourism reform would rip up that deal and leave us all paying more at the checkout.
Thank you,
Mr. Speaker. When it comes to economic growth, this Labour government is all talk and no action. So maybe I can help the Prime Minister. Roadworks and traffic jams cost the UK economy £8 billion last year. This affects my constituents in Broxbourne every single day. They want to know what the government is doing about it, when the government is going to back working people and get Britain moving.
Under this government, growth is the highest.
Working people.
For the first
Sorry,
half
I'm
of
a
this
bit slow
year.
then.
Under the last government, they crashed the economy.
Working people.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday was the UN International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, otherwise known as White Ribbon Day in Milton Keynes and many other places. Will the Prime Minister join with me in congratulating Mr. Speaker on his commitment that this House will become the first national white ribbon parliament in the world? And will he join me, Mr. Speaker, and many members from across this House in making the white ribbon promise to never use, excuse, or remain silent about men's violence against women?
Can I thank her for raising this really important issue? And I'm really proud, Mr. Speaker, on what you've done with this Parliament in relation to the White Ribbon campaign. We must then turn that from a ribbon into action. And I am really proud that this government is fully committed to tackling violence against women and girls. It is a political commitment, it is a personal commitment from me, and we'll do everything we can in relation to reducing violence against women and girls, which is pernicious. It is far more widespread than people appreciate, and we absolutely have to stop talking and start doing in relation to this.
Final question, Liz Sabble-Roberts.
From his previous answer, we can only conclude that the Prime Minister has faith in the member of Clapton to police his own party on Russian interference. But the leader of Reform has already said that this is beyond his capabilities.
Yep.
Why, therefore, is the Prime Minister so unwilling to take responsibility and launch a full investigation into foreign interference in our democracies?
Yeah, here.
Interference in our democracy, but the responsibility for the investigation of what happened in Reform lies with the leader of the Reform.
No, it lies with you, you stupid twat. You're the fucking Prime Minister. Act like it.
Totally silent on one of the most important issues. Mr. Speaker, he needs to speak up and answer those questions.
That completes Prime Minister's question.
Fucking hell. Yeah, Farage needs to do something. Yeah, Farage. We'll leave it to Farage to do what Farage needs to do. What the fuck? Just piss off. This really fucks me off. Really fucks me off. Right, let's get back into it, I suppose. Remember to like and to subscribe.
Thank you, Madam
and to hit the
Deputy
bell
Speaker.
notification
On
icon.
a point of order, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Why is the OBR
This
fucking released
morning,
these?
we have seen an unprecedented leak of the OBR's Economic and Fiscal Outlook report before the budget.
Yes.
This report contains market-sensitive information. It is utterly outrageous that this has happened, and this leak may indeed constitute a criminal act. In Prime Minister's questions, the Leader of the Opposition asked the Prime Minister about this leak, but he refused to answer her question. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, please can you advise this House what steps are at its disposal to force a leak inquiry into this matter? And would it be possible to ask the Table Office to distribute copies of the report given to the House, given that everybody outside of this House has already had the opportunity to read it?
Order! This is not a point of order for the Chair. The Chancellor is about to make her budget statement, and I expect members and their constituents wish to hear from the Chancellor directly. However, before I call the Chancellor to speak, I nonetheless wish to make a short statement. For a number of weeks, and yet again yesterday, there have been extensive briefings to the media on the government's fiscal policy and public finances. This disappointing trend in relation to budget briefings has been growing for a number of years under successive governments, but appears to have reached an unprecedented high. Weeks ago, we saw the Chancellor delivering a speech in Downing Street, setting the scene for the budget, as well as specific policy announcements being briefed out to the media in advance of today's financial statements. I don't need any help. And just a moment ago, it seems the OBR analysis has also appeared online. This all falls short of standards that the House expects. The premature disclosure of the contents of the budget has always been regarded as a supreme discourtesy to this House and to all the democratically elected members, not to mention to Mr. Speaker and to myself, the Chairman of Ways and Means. The government's own ministerial code cannot be clearer, as set out in paragraph 9.1. When Parliament is in session, the most important announcements of government policy should be made in the first instance to Parliament.
I absolutely agree.
Mr. Speaker,
they are the
always
rules.
upheld the rights of this House
They are the rules.
and its members to
Play
be
by
treated
the
with
rules.
respect and to be the first to hear major government policy announcements on behalf of their constituents. As Chairman of Ways and Means, I have responsibility to oversee the House's consideration of the budget statement and the ensuing resolutions, which are described in Erskine May paragraph 36-33 as the most important business of Ways and Means in this House. I want honourable members on all sides of the House to have adequate opportunity to hold the Chancellor to account, rather than hear and read about new policies on a daily basis in the media. And like many, I also expected better. Before I call the Chancellor of the Exchequer, I remind honourable members that copies of the budget resolutions will be available to them from the Vote Office in members' lobby at the end of the Chancellor's statement and online.
I also remind honourable members that interventions are not taken during the Chancellor's statement, nor during replies to the Leader of the Opposition or the Leader of the Liberal Democrats. I call the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Where's all the cheering coming from? The people behind her aren't cheering, look. Where's all that noise coming from?
Madam Deputy Speaker.
Chancellor.
Madam Deputy Speaker, it is my understanding that the Office of Budget Responsibility's Economic and Financial Outlook was released on their website before this statement. This is deeply disappointing and a serious error on their part. The Office for Budget Responsibility have already made a statement taking full responsibility for their breach. Madam Deputy Speaker, we are rebuilding our economy. Over the last 16 months, we have overhauled our planning system to get Britain building.
Got to mention the 22 billion
forged new
back
trade
home.
deals with the United States, India and the European Union. Reformed our visa system to bring the brightest and the best to Britain. We changed our fiscal rules that we inherited from the Conservatives and raised public investment to its highest level in 4 decades. And in last year's budget, I raised taxes on business and the wealthiest to close the £22 billion...
Yay, she mentioned it! Woo! 22 billion back home!
And we used that money to fund the biggest ever settlement for our National Health Service. They were the fair and necessary choices. And we faced opposition to them, from opponents to planning reform, who will always demand that the future is built somewhere else, not in their backyard. Opponents to trade, who want to take us down the path of isolation and division. Opponents to investment, who believe that the only good thing a government can do is get out of the way. Opponents who insist that the only way to balance the books is to cut public spending. And opponents who say that we don't need to balance the books at all. But we made these choices for a reason. Because after 14 years of Conservative
Yes,
government,
she said 14
working
years!
people
Woo!
demanded and deserved change. Investment, not cuts to our public services. Stability for our public finances. The single most important factor in getting the cost of living down. And economic growth, the best means to improve wages, create jobs and support public services. That is what our plan, that is what this government and our Prime Minister are all about. Today's budget builds on the choices that we have made since July last year. To cut NHS waiting lists, to cut the cost of living, and to cut debt and borrowing. No doubt we will face opposition again, but I have yet to see a credible or a fairer alternative plan for working people. These are my choices, the right choices for a fairer, a stronger and more
Oh, she said working people, sorry.
Order.
I was in the middle of fixing
Far
something.
too much noise, and I expected so much better from you, Dr. Luke Evans. You're meant to be a leader in your community. Simmer down, Chancellor.
Oh my God.
I'm happy for them to shout as much
All right,
as
this is the
they like,
preamble.
Madam
I don't
Deputy
care.
Speaker, as long
Get
as
to
they
the
do it from
numbers.
opposition
Come on.
benches where they can't cause any more damage.
Get to the numbers. Get to the
I
numbers.
said there would be no return to austerity, and I meant it.
Should we get some confetti in the
Budget
chat
will
here?
maintain
What do you
investment
reckon?
in our economy
I think we should
and
get
in
some
our National
confetti.
Health Service. I said I would cut the cost of living, and I meant it. This budget will bring down inflation and provide immediate relief for families. I said I would cut debt and borrowing, and I meant it. Because of this budget, borrowing will fall as a share of GDP in every year of this
She has to say words.
Our next
Yeah, this is just a
financial debt will
preamble.
be
Come
lower
on.
at the end of the
Get on with
forecast
it.
than it is today. And I will more than double the headroom against our stability rule to £21.7 billion, meeting our stability rule and meeting it a year early. These are my choices. Not austerity, not borrowing, not turning a blind eye to unfairness. My choices are a budget for fair taxes, strong public services and a stable economy. That is the Labour choice. Growth is the engine that carries every one of our ambitions forward, through stability, investment and reform. The platform from which British ambition can finally get moving again. Because growth doesn't just
so disrespectful. Shut the fuck up so we can listen to what Rachel Reeves has to say.
Patiently and stubbornly by people who take risks, by founders who bet their savings on an idea, by firms breaking into new markets, developing new technologies and creating new jobs and new opportunities, by the men and the women who work hard every day in all parts of our country. Our job is not to watch from the sidelines,
I want them to shut up so we can hear what she has to say.
Backing them every step of the way, to match private enterprise with public ambition. I would like to thank my team of officials at the Treasury for their hard work in preparing this budget. In the spring, the Office of Budget Responsibility forecast that our economy would grow by 1% this year. I said then that Britain would defy the forecasts, and defy them we have. The OBR have upgraded Britain's growth for this year from 1% to 1.5%.
Could be 10% if we join the EU. Shut up. Yeah, I was thinking that if she was a man, she wouldn't be getting this.
Today, the OBR have
This is ridiculous. The Speaker needs to do something about this.
Of the economy. They are clear that this is not about the last 14 months. It is about the previous 14 years. The legacy of Brexit.
14 years, she said it again.
And the damaging decisions by the party opposite. Cutting public spending, leaving communities and entire regions behind, starving our economy of investment and weakening our public services. As a result of their review, the OBR are reducing their expectations for productivity growth by 0.3 percentage points to 1% by the end of the forecast. They say today, and I quote, real GDP is forecast to grow by 1.5% on average over the forecast due to lower underlying productivity growth. There is an impact on our public finances too. The OBR say that their productivity forecast will mean £16 billion less in tax receipts by 2030. These forecasts are the Tories' legacy, not Britain's destiny.
Okay, they've got to simmer down. Come on, Speaker.
Order. It is very hard to hear the Chancellor over all the shouting. And Mr. Holmes, you promised me yesterday you were going to be on top behaviour in the first few minutes. Chancellor.
That was rubbish.
We beat the forecasts this year and we will beat them again. By boosting trade, not blocking it. By increasing investment, not cutting it. By championing innovation, not stifling it. By backing working people, not making them poorer. Brick by brick, we've been building our economy. Building roads, building homes, getting spades in the ground and cranes in the sky. Growth begins with the spark of an entrepreneur. Half of new jobs in Britain are created by scale-up businesses. And we want those jobs created here, not somewhere else. Our job is to make Britain the best place in the world to start up, to scale up and to stay. So we're widening eligibility for our enterprise incentives. so scale-ups can attract the talent and the capital that they need. Expanding the enterprise management incentive so more companies can offer tax-relieved share options. Re-engineering our enterprise investment and venture capital trust schemes so they don't just back early-stage ideas, but stay with companies as they grow. Introducing
Thanks
UK
for the super
listings
chat,
relief,
Scott.
a 3-year exemption from stamp duty reserve tax for companies who choose to list here in Britain. And to continue this work, I am launching a call for evidence on how our tax system can better back entrepreneurs, and a targeted review with founders and investors at the heart to make the UK an even more attractive place to grow your business. We are sending a simple message to the world. If you build here, Britain will back you. And our retail investment system should do the same. The UK has some of the lowest levels of retail investment in the G7.
Yes.
And that is not only bad for business, who need that investment to grow. It's bad for savers too.
Tax the big retailers.
Someone who has invested £1,000 a year in an average stocks and shares ISA every year since 1999 would be £50,000 better off today if they'd put that same money into if they'd put the same money into a cash ISA. And so, from April 2027, I will reform our ISA system, keeping the full £20,000 allowance, while designating 8,000 of it exclusively for investment, with over 65s retaining the full cash allowance. And thanks to our changes to financial advice and guidance,
so
banks will be able to guide savers to better choices for their hard-earned money. Over 50% of the ISA market, including Hargreaves Lansdown, HSBC, Lloyds, Vanguard and Barclays, have signed up to launch new online hubs to help people invest here in Britain. At this budget, consistent with the commitments in our corporate tax roadmap, I will retain our competitive corporation tax rate, the lowest in the G7, and retain our generous full expensing offer for business investments. I will also introduce a new 40% first-year allowance so that businesses can write off more of the cost of their investment up front, while reducing main rate writing down allowances in line with fiscal constraints.
Okay.
Private investment is the lifeblood of economic growth, but growth needs public investment too. When faced with challenges, previous chancellors have chosen to decrease, delay, or cancel capital spending. But low investment is the cause of our productivity problem, not the solution. So my choice is not cuts, not stagnation, but to maintain the additional £120 billion of investment that I provided at the spending review. In transport to link our towns and our cities, energy infrastructure to power our businesses, and housing so people can live near good jobs, paying decent wages and growing businesses. That is the Labour choice. I'm grateful to the Financial Secretary to the Treasury for his work in driving our growth agenda forward. As we allocate investment for the infrastructure that is the backbone of economic growth across our country, today I will commit investment for the Lower Thames Crossing. And we're continuing to drive investment in city-region transport, in the Midlands Rail Hub and the Transpennine Route upgrade, along with our commitments to the Northern Growth Corridor, including Northern Powerhouse Rail. It is this Labour government that has overhauled our planning system.
I'm a bit sick of hearing about Northern Powerhouse Rail
funding to increase
someone who has to
planning
use
capacity
it.
through a new skills offer, as
Sick of
called
hearing
for
about
by the
it.
British
I
Chamber of
wanna go on
Commerce
it.
and the Confederation of British Industry. It is this Labour government that has invested in nuclear power, in Sizewell C and in Culham. We are taking forward our commitment to slash electricity prices for thousands of manufacturing businesses, as Make UK and many others have called for. And today I'm pleased to welcome John Finkelton's report, an ambitious plan to cut the red tape that has tied our nuclear industry in knots for decades. And within 3 months we will set out our plan for delivering his recommendations. We are proud of our industrial heritage, and we are determined to build the industry of the future. so that we buy, make and sell more here in Britain. That's why, as we increase defence spending, we are investing in Portsmouth, in Barrow and in Plymouth. And I'm pleased to be supporting Team Derby, an initiative to drive growth in one of our defence industry hubs. It's why we stepped in to save British Steel in Scunthorpe and invested in Sheffield Forge Masters. And it's why we've changed government procurement so we can buy British when it is crucial to our national security. For steel, for shipbuilding, and today for AI, driving innovation and building that great industry here in Britain. But it's not just what we invest that matters, it's how we invest. Putting money and power back in the hands of local and regional leaders. Today, we are devolving £13 billion of flexible funding for 7 mayors to invest in skills, business support and infrastructure. I'm extending the business rates retention pilots in the West of England, Liverpool City region and Cornwall until 2029. I'm providing £30 million for the Kernow Industrial Growth Fund for sectors like critical minerals and marine innovation. I am establishing the Lead City Fund, a long-term agreement to retain business rates to fund local regeneration projects like the development of Leeds South Bank, and I am allocating £20 million for the new Peterborough Sports Quarter and £16 million for a science centre in Darlington from the Growth Mission Fund. The benefits of investment the benefits of investment and growth must be built and felt in every part of our United Kingdom. So we are providing an additional £370 million for the Northern Ireland Executive, £505 million for the Welsh Government and £820 million for the Scottish Government over the spending review period through the Barnett formula. And I am making... Sorry, I didn't quite catch that from the SNP. Did they not? Perhaps, Madam Deputy Speaker, they didn't hear. £820 million for the Scottish Government over the spending review period because Anna Sawa asked us to. And I'm making targeted investments in our industrial strategy sectors across the UK. In Northern Ireland, I am providing £17 million to support businesses and strengthen the UK internal market, and backing advanced manufacturing through the Northern Ireland Enhanced Investment Zone. Wales will be the host for 2 AI growth zones, creating more than 8,000 jobs, supported by a £10 million investment in the semiconductors critical for that industry. And we are building the UK's first small modular nuclear reactors with Rolls-Royce at Wilfer in Anglesey. 2 Labour governments working together in Wales to deliver for the people of Wales. And in Scotland, I'm committing over £14 million for low-carbon technologies in Grangemouth, £20 million to renew infrastructure at Inchgreen in Inverclyde, and £20 million to redevelop Kirkcaldy Town Centre and Seafront, with construction starting next year.
Okay,
and
that's all
on
good.
top of the UK's biggest ever warship export deal with the Norwegian government to build frigates in Glasgow, supporting 4,000 jobs. Investment opposed by the SNP, jobs opposed by the SNP, defence opposed by the SNP, but secured by this Labour government.
Okay, going after the SNP there.
A growing economy needs strong foundations of economic stability, with borrowing, inflation down and investment up. That is good for business, and it is good for working people, so they have more money in their pockets. Economic stability, safeguarded by iron-clad fiscal rules, is our best defence against rising prices and the best way to improve living standards. We've all seen the alternative. 3 years ago, in their clamour to cut taxes for the richest, the Tories under Liz Truss crashed the economy and sent mortgage rates spiralling and brought pensions to the brink.
It's been opened. There we go. It's the emergency truss. Woo! Unlocked. Boom.
They've been so loud, Madam Deputy Speaker, and yet I can't even hear them now. Now, I know that the leader of the Green Party is a keen hypnotherapist, and he believes that he can achieve remarkable things using only the power of his mind. Unfortunately, the only things getting bigger under his approach would be the deficit and the rate of inflation.
That was a low blow.
the
Unnecessary.
damage that the
Absolutely unnecessary. It's supposed to be the
Conservative
fucking
schools
budget.
and our
I'm sorry.
hospitals, they also doubled the national debt.
I don't think we should be making dad
Our
jokes.
net financial
during the fucking
debt this
budget.
year will be £2.6 trillion, 83% of GDP, meaning that today, 1 in every £10 that government spends is on debt interest. Not on paying down that debt, but just on paying the interest on the debt that we inherited from the Conservatives. My fiscal rules will get borrowing down while supporting investment. The stability rule, that day-to-day expenditure must be met through tax receipts, and the investment rule, which allows me to increase investment whilst getting debt on a downward path. Those fiscal rules are non-negotiable. I met them at the budget last year, I met them in the spring, and I have met them today. While the current budget balance is in deficit by £28.8 billion in 26-27 and £4.6 billion in 27-28, it moves into a surplus of £3.9 billion in 28-29, £21.7 billion in 29-30, and £24.6 billion in 2030-31, more than doubling our headroom against the stability rule and meeting that rule a year early too. And our net financial debt is 83.3% in 26-27, 83.6% in 27-28, 83.7% in 28-29, falling to 83.0% in 29-30 and 82.2% in 2030-31. Madam Deputy Speaker, I said we would cut the debt, and we are, with debt down by the end of the forecast. And going forwards, to support our commitment to a single fiscal event and further strengthen our economic stability, I will follow the recommendations of the International Monetary Fund by assessing the fiscal rules just once a year at the budget.
Thank you for being a member for 3 months.
Despite the challenges we face on productivity, the path of our deficit reduction remains broadly the same as in spring. Public sector net borrowing is due to be £112.1 billion, or 3.5% of GDP in 26-27, 3% in 27-28, 2.6% in 28-29, 1.9% in 29-30, and 1.9% in 2030-31, ending at £67.2 billion, translating into an increase in the net cash requirement next year of £4.2 billion, taking the total to £133.3 billion. According to the IMF, we are due to reduce borrowing more over the rest of this Parliament than any other G7 economy. The Conservatives crashed the economy, we are protecting it. The Conservatives lost control of debt, we are getting debt down. The Conservatives let inflation and interest rates go through the roof. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, since Labour took office, the Bank of England have cut interest rates 5 times.
I'm just trying to look at the
I've made my choices.
bringing down
Not
that percentage of daily spending on debt.
Cuts, but stability
And it
for
will be
our
good to
economy,
bring it down to 67
security for our
billion.
public finances, and security for family finances too. Those are the Labour.
Sorry, I was saying that just getting the debt down there, this is everyday debt, which is 112 billion at the moment, which is 3.5% of the GDP. She's saying she's going to get it down to 1.9% by 2029, and then it will only be 67.2 billion, down from almost halving it, not quite. But yeah, and then she mentioned 133 billion. I don't know where she got that number from. Was that like we're going to be paying the rest of it. We're going to make up the rest of it with tax or investment. She didn't really make that very clear. So obviously we need to spend this money. It's day-to-day spending, and it's better that we don't borrow for day-to-day spending. As I often say on this channel, I have no problem with us borrowing to invest in stuff that needs to be built, things that needs to be done, things that can help people get jobs and people, get ahead, innovation, research, development, all that kind of stuff. Happy to borrow for that, but day-to-day spending, no, we should not be borrowing for that.
Choices. Madam Deputy Speaker, Tory austerity left classrooms crumbling and waiting lists sky high, weakened our productivity and choked our economic growth. And now they propose a further £47 billion of cuts to our public services. Well, that is equivalent to cutting every police officer in our country twice over. And then there is Reform, who promise more than £100 billion of cuts, with no details of where those cuts will come from or who will pay for them. A recipe for devastating damage to our public services. People voted for Labour because they wanted roads that aren't full of potholes. They want police on our streets, and they want an NHS that is there when they need it. And we're delivering that. Waiting lists down by 230,000. And not just the 2 million additional appointments we promised, but an additional 5.2 million appointments already delivered since the general election.
Go away, streeting, you poncy
I joined the
balloon.
Labour Party almost 30 years ago because I could see that the Conservative government that I grew up under didn't care much about schools like mine. Textbooks were rationed. I know that many of you weren't at schools like mine.
There is far too much noise, far too much excitement. People need to calm down a little. Chancellor.
They don't want to hear what the Tories did to schools like mine, but I will tell them. Textbooks rationed, libraries closed, kids herded into porta cabins in the playground, and I came into politics to change that. The money that I allocated at the spending review will fix the crumbling classrooms that the Conservatives left behind and build the schools that they promised but never delivered. And today, thanks to representations from my honourable friends, the members for Wolverhampton North East and Leeds South West and Morley, I will provide £5 million for libraries in secondary schools, building on the £10 million commitment to ensure that every primary school has a school library within this Parliament. And thanks to representations from my honourable friends, the members for Bournemouth East and from Lord Luton North, I am providing £18 million to improve and upgrade playgrounds across England.
Oh, that's bad.
Madam Deputy Speaker, let there be no doubt that this is a government that is on the side of our kids and who will back their potential. I will not allow the legacies of Conservative neglect to stain our society. Last year, I made changes to the Mine Workers Pension Scheme to ensure that its members receive the fair pensions that they are owed. This year, with thanks to the Minister for Pensions for all his work in this subject, I can go further. I have heard representations from Labour Coalfield MPs, including my honourable friends, the members for Bassetlaw, Blythe and Ashington, Barnsley South, Mansfield and Llanelli. And today I can announce that I will transfer the Investment Reserve Fund of the British Coal Staff Superannuation Scheme to its members. So that the men and the women who worked in our coal industry get a fair deal in their retirement too. And more. Having heard representations from my honourable friends, the members for Banbury and the member for Edinburgh South West, I will index for inflation on pensions accrued before 1997 in the Pension Protection Fund and the Financial Assurance Scheme, so that people whose pension schemes became insolvent, no fault of their own, no longer lose out as the result of inflation. Last year, I also provided funding to compensate the victims of the infected blood scandal, after the previous government failed to budget for the costs of compensation. This year, I have listened to representations from my honourable friend, the member for Eltham and Chislehurst, and my honourable friend, the member for Edinburgh South West. And I'd like to thank the Minister for Employment for her representations over many years on this subject. As a result, I will exempt all payments from the infected blood scheme from inheritance tax, regardless of the circumstances in which those payments are passed down. Madam Deputy Speaker, that is how we should be spending taxpayers' money, on dealing with injustices and building strong public services, not on waste and inefficiency. At the spending review, I set an ambitious target of £14 billion of efficiencies per year by 2029. and I am grateful to the Chief Secretary to the Treasury for driving that work forward, realising savings through AI and automation, and by scrapping NHS England and reducing back office staff by 18,000. At this budget, I will find a further £4.9 billion of efficiencies by 2031, getting rid of police and crime commissioners, cutting the cost of politics and local government, and selling government assets that we no longer have any use for. These savings will be required across government, but for our National Health Service, I will reinvest all of these savings back into the care that people rely on. More nurses, more GPs, more appointments. Restoring the services that faltered under years of Conservative decline and investing in the future of our National Health Service. And today I am announcing £300 million of investment in technology to improve patient service and 250 new neighbourhood health centres. Expanding more services into communities so that people can receive treatment outside of hospitals and get better, faster care where they live. Over 100 of these will be delivered by 2030, including in Birmingham, Truro and Southall. The Labour Party founded our National Health Service, and we will renew our National Health Service. I will take the same approach for defence spending that I take to NHS spending, reinvesting savings back into our national security. In our age of insecurity, Britain will continue to stand with our allies, working in collaboration to secure a sustainable ceasefire for Ukraine, and maintaining our commitment to NATO, with the UK set to spend 2.6% of GDP on defence by April 2027. Madam Deputy Speaker, the public rightly expects that we stamp out fraud, error and waste, and put that money to good use in our schools and our hospitals and other frontline services. My right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, has already announced that she will claw back excess profits from the use of hotels to house asylum seekers, as we phase out the use of those hotels entirely. And we will consult on reforms to indefinite leave to remain and access to taxpayer-funded benefits. The introduction of digital ID will break the link between illegal migration and illegal working. And the HMRC and the Fair Work Agency will crack down on illicit businesses that blight our high streets and undercut illegitimate firms, enforcing the minimum wage, investigating dodgy businesses, and increasing scrutiny of the gig economy, as well as tracking down fraudulent business owners who vanish without paying their taxes.
Yes.
And I'd like to thank my honourable friends, the members for Great Grimsby and Cleethorpes, Lee and Atherton, and Kensington and Bayswater for their representations on this subject. And I'll take further steps to prevent and track down unpaid tax, which will together, these reforms will raise nearly £10 billion a year by 2030, including through new powers for HMRC to pursue the promoters of tax avoidance schemes. I am building on our successful use of targeted checks on welfare claims to root out fraud and error and prevent public money being paid to people who are not entitled to it.
Yeah, okay.
And I would like to thank Tom Hayhoe, the COVID Corruption Commissioner, for his work in helping to chase down nearly £400 million from dodgy pandemic spending and contracts. Tory contracts handed out by Tory ministers to Tory peers and Tory friends.
Yeah, Tory cronies.
Well, that money belongs in our schools and in our hospitals.
Order. It is so noisy now, we can barely hear the Chancellor. Everybody needs to calm down. Chancellor.
Well, I wouldn't want any honourable member to miss this. So we are chasing down that money, and we've got almost £400 million back from dodgy pandemic spending and contracts. Tory contracts handed out by Tory ministers to Tory peers and Tory donors. Well, that money belongs in our schools and in our hospitals, and we are getting that money back. And finally, Madam Deputy Speaker, we are ramping up sanctions on Russia, and we are freezing known Russian assets. But let me be clear, I don't actually mean the honourable member for Clacton.
Oh, in your face, Farage.
Order.
I missed that.
You don't need commentary from the backbenches, and Mr. Dewhurst, you are so loud. It's remarkable how far your voice carries. Chancellor.
Wow, nice dig at
the cost
Farage
of our
there.
welfare
Russian
system
assets.
increased by nearly 1 percentage point of GDP, equivalent to £88 billion in just 5 years. The broken welfare system that we inherited wrote off millions of people as too sick to work, and we will reform that system so that it is a system that does not count the cost of failure, but one that protects people who cannot work and empowers those who can. We have brought back face-to-face assessments for disability benefits. Those are the face-to-face assessments that the Shadow Chancellor got rid of when he was Work and Pension Secretary. And our changes to universal credit will get 15,000 people back into work, a figure confirmed today. The former Health Secretary, Alan Milburn, will review the causes of rising youth inactivity, and we are already taking action. I'm grateful to the Federation of Small Businesses and Small Business Britain for their representations on apprenticeships. And today I am announcing funding to make the training for under 25 apprenticeships completely free for small and medium-sized enterprises.
Wow. Fantastic.
And
That's
funding
really
our
good.
new youth guarantee.
That's really good.
Providing £820 million over the next 3 years to give young people who are let down by the Conservatives the support and the opportunity that they deserve. Guaranteeing every young person a place in college, an apprenticeship or personalised job support.
Wow. Free apprenticeships
and
for
after 18 months, 18
SMEs.
to 21-year-olds will be offered paid work, not benefits. The Motability Scheme was set up to protect the most vulnerable, not to subsidise the lease on a Mercedes-Benz. And so I am making reforms that will reduce generous taxpayer subsidies, and Motability have confirmed that they will remove luxury vehicles from their scheme, getting the scheme back to its original purpose of offering cost-effective leases to disabled people. And taxpayers' money should not be spent on pensions for people abroad, who only lived here for a couple of years and may never even have paid a penny in tax. The Conservatives allowed thousands of people living abroad to buy their way into the state pension for as little as £3.50 a week, debasing the purpose of our pension system. And so I will abolish access to Class 2 voluntary national insurance contributions for people living abroad, increasing the time that someone has to live or work in Britain to 10 years and increasing the contributions that they must pay. These reforms improve our welfare system. They support our young people, protect those who need it most, and put an end to Conservative waste and unfairness. Madam Deputy Speaker, to break the cycle of austerity, we need a fair and a sustainable tax system, one that generates revenues to fund the public services that we all use, and supports investment to grow our economy. That does mean that today I am asking everyone to make a contribution.
Okay, here we go.
The previous Conservative government... The previous Conservative government froze personal tax thresholds from 2021 to 2028. And today I will maintain all income tax and equivalent national insurance thresholds at their current level for a further 3 years from 2028. While ensuring that people...
The noise is far too high.
Yes.
Chancellor.
So thresholds are going to be frozen until 2031.
The right honourable lady supported these freezes when her party made them. She might want to forget about it, but the British people never will. At the same time, we are ensuring that people only in receipt of the basic or new state pension do not have to pay small amounts of tax through simple assessment from April 2027. I will also keep the Plan 2 student loan repayments threshold at its 2026-27 level for 3 years. Madam Deputy Speaker, I know that maintaining these thresholds is a decision that will affect working people. I said that last year, and I won't pretend otherwise now. Madam Deputy Speaker, I am asking everyone to make a contribution, but I can keep that contribution as low as possible because I will make further reforms to our tax system today to make it fairer and to ensure that the wealthiest contribute the most. The Conservatives knew that our tax system didn't work. Time and time again, they ducked the necessary reforms, leaving a system unfit for a changing economy, with unfairness that they refused to address. Currently, a landlord with an income of £25,000 will pay nearly £1,200 less in tax than their tenants with the same salary.
Wow.
Because no national insurance is charged on property, dividend or savings income. It's not fair that the tax system treats different types of income so differently.
Yes.
And
Yes,
so
agreed.
I will increase the basic and higher rate of tax on property, savings and dividend income by 2 percentage points.
Cool.
And the additional rate of tax on property and savings income by 2 percentage points. Even after these reforms, 90% of taxpayers will still pay no tax at all on their savings. As well as narrowing the gap between the tax on income from assets and income from work, I also believe that a fair society is one where the wealthiest pay their fair share. The reforms I made last year will raise an additional £8 billion a year by 2020-30 from wealth. I increased taxes last year on private equity, private schools and private jets. I abolished the non-dom tax regime. And this year, I will make 2 changes to cap trust charges and prevent avoidance. I reformed inheritance tax on agricultural and business assets. And this year, I am aligning those reforms with wider inheritance tax rules by allowing the transfer of the 100% relief allowance between spouses, balancing the taxation of these valuable assets with the realities of family life. In this budget, I will take further steps to deal with a long-standing source of wealth inequality in our country. A Band D home in Darlington or Blackpool
pays more council tax
just under
than Buckingham Palace.
£2,400 in council tax, nearly £300 more than a £10 million mansion in Mayfair.
Fuck me.
And so, from 2028, I am introducing the high-value council tax surcharge in England, an annual £2,500 charge for properties worth more than £2 million, rising to £7,500 for properties worth more than £5 million. This will be collected alongside council tax, levied on owners, and we will consult on options for support or deferral. This new surcharge will raise over £400 million by 2031 and will be charged on less than the top 1% of properties. Madam Deputy Speaker, reliefs in our tax system cost the taxpayer billions of pounds a year, but many of them no longer serve their original purpose. The government rightly provides generous tax relief for people paying into a pension, relieving income tax on all contributions and on the investment itself, as well as national insurance relief on employer contributions, at a cost of over £70 billion a year to the Exchequer. This budget makes no changes to those reliefs or to the tax-free lump sum. But salary sacrifice for pensions, which was intended to be a small part of our pension system, is forecast to almost treble in cost to other taxpayers, from £2.8 billion in 2017 to £8 billion by 2030, with the greatest benefit going to the highest earners, or to those in the financial services sector putting their bonuses into pensions tax-free. while those on the minimum wage or those whose employers don't offer salary sacrifice don't benefit at all.
Yep.
That is not sustainable for our public finances.
No, it's not.
Putting pressure on the tax that everyone else pays.
Yeah.
And so I am introducing a £2,000 cap on salary sacrifice into a pension, with contributions above that taxed in the same way as other employee pension contributions. That is a pragmatic step so that people, especially on low and middle incomes, can continue to use salary sacrifice for their pension without paying any more in tax than they do now, and to give individuals and employers time to adjust to these new arrangements. These changes will come into effect in 2029.
Oh, right, okay. 4 years.
The coalition government introduced 100% relief from capital gains tax on business sales made to employee ownership trusts, creating a route for gains to go completely untaxed when businesses are sold.
Wow.
I will reduce that relief to 50%, retaining a strong incentive for employee-owned companies. And as we work towards doubling the size of the cooperative economy, the Department for Business and Trade will launch a call for evidence on how we can better support co-ops to grow. Because of the changes that I have made to capital gains tax this year and last year, receipts are forecast to increase from £14 billion this year to £30 billion by 2030. To support our high streets, I am announcing a package of regulatory changes as called for by UK Hospitality and the British Retail Consortium. And I will support the Great British Pub through our new national licensing framework, encouraging councils to back our pubs and to back late-night venues with greater freedoms.
Good. Yeah, okay, I'm up for that.
For business rates, I will introduce permanently lower tax rates for over 750,000 retail, hospitality and leisure properties, the lowest rates since 1991, paid for through higher rates on properties worth more than £500,000, like the warehouses used by online giants. Alongside this, I will introduce a package of support worth over £4.3 billion over the next 3 years for a property of any size seeing a large increase in their bill. And to support a level playing field in retail, I will stop online firms from undercutting our high street businesses by ensuring customs duty applies on parcels of any value.
Oh, okay. Trump did that in America.
I will reform our motoring taxes, exempting search and rescue vehicles from vehicle excise duty as called for by my honourable friends, the member for the Western Isles and for Whitehaven and Workington. And because all cars contribute to the wear and tear on our roads,
yes, they
I
do.
will ensure that drivers are taxed according to how much they drive, and not just by the type of car they own, by introducing the electric vehicle excise duty on electric cars. This will be payable each year alongside vehicle excise duty at 3p per mile for electric cars and 1.5p for plug-in hybrids, helping us to double road maintenance funding in England over the course of this Parliament.
I don't like it, but I agree with it. Fair enough.
And
That's fair
alongside
enough.
this, I am providing support to boost our British car industry, increasing the threshold for the expensive car supplement on electric vehicles to £50,000, saving over 1 million motorists £440 a year. Providing £1.3 billion additional funding for the electric car grant, extending it to 2030 and taking total funding to £2 billion, as well as delaying changes to the employee car ownership scheme. In addition, we're investing a further £200 million to accelerate the rollout of EV charging, as well as 100% business rates relief for EV charge points for the next decade.
Fantastic.
With
No,
thanks
that's
to
good.
my honourable
That's
friend,
good.
the member for Camborne.
Listen, we've got an electric car. We go to Liverpool. Like, we're talking maybe 10,000, maybe 12,000 miles a year that we do on it. So that's an extra 300 quid a year, 320, 330. Compared with having to buy a season ticket for the fucking train, that's fuck all. All right. I honestly, you know, to be honest with you, I think it's fair enough. We do electric cars wear and tear the road like any other vehicle. So yeah, I'll take it. I'll take the hit.
And Redruth for his representations on this policy. And I will improve competition in our taxi industry by ending ride-hailing companies' use of a discount scheme intended for coach tours, as called for by Steve McNamara, the General Secretary of the Licensed Taxi Drivers Association. Legislating to restrict access so that everyone pays fairly and protecting £700 million of tax revenue each year.
So the taxi drivers will thank him for that one.
I am responding to our consultation on land tax, landfill tax, and listening to representations, particularly from our house building industry. I will not converge towards a single rate, but I will prevent the gap between the two rates from widening to balance the need to address tax avoidance in the current structure.
Just to address the question that came up, yes, it is just for EVs and hybrids. It'd be 3 pence per mile for EVs, full EVs, and 1.5 pence for hybrids. Already, petrol and diesel powered vehicles, they pay per mile effectively through the fuel duty that they pay when they fuel up.
Today published Ray McCann's report into the loan charge, along with the government's response, setting out a new settlement opportunity that will finally allow people to finalise their position and draw a line under this long-standing issue. And I'd like to thank my honourable friend, the member for Milton Keynes Central, for her representations on this subject. I will continue with the planned uprating for tobacco duties as I set out last year and uprate alcohol duties by inflation, along with our plans to introduce a vaping products duty in 2026 and changes to the soft drinks industry levy announced by my right honourable friend, the Health Secretary, yesterday. And I'd like to thank the Exchequer Secretary to the Treasury for his work on all the tax measures in this budget. I will also reform gambling taxes in response to the rise in online gambling.
Woo! Yes, do
Remote
it.
gambling, remote gaming is associated with the highest levels of harm. And so I am increasing remote gaming duty from 21% to 40%.
Yes.
With duty on online betting increasing from 15% to 25%. I am making no change to taxes on in-person gambling or on horse racing. And I am abolishing bingo duty entirely from April next year.
Oh, good. I hate having to go to
my reforms to gambling tax
bingo as my
will raise
duty.
over £1 billion per year by 2031. As a result of the tax reforms I have made today, I can confirm that I will not be increasing national insurance, the basic, higher or additional rates of income tax or VAT. And I have kept everyone's contribution as low as possible through reforms to make our tax system stronger, closing loopholes, ensuring that the wealthiest pay their share, and building a tax system that is fairer for the future as our economy changes. On the day I became Chancellor, I said that I would judge my time in office a success if I knew that ordinary children from working-class backgrounds were living more fulfilling lives. Their horizons expanded, their potential realised. I joined the Labour Party, I came into politics, because I believe that every child has equal worth and deserves an equal chance to achieve their
I thought you joined because your daddy was a toolmaker.
The biggest barrier to equal opportunity is child poverty. Because for every child that grows up in poverty, our society pays a triple cost. The first and the heaviest is to the child. Going to school hungry, waking up in a cold home, or in another B&B. While other children enjoy the advantages of parents with time to help with homework, the quiet space at home to work in, too many go without. And there is also the cost of supporting a family in poverty, which ends up in the lap of overstretched councils, who can do no more than shunt them into temporary accommodation at huge cost to local taxpayers. Then there is the future cost, to our economy and to our society, of wasted talent and a welfare system that bears the cost of failure for decades to come. Young people with so much to contribute, but whose potential is suffocated early by limited life chances and missed opportunities, struggling to make their way in a society that did not look out for them. I don't intend to preside over a status quo that punishes children for the circumstances of their birth and demands that we all pay 3 times over for it. Since last July, we've rolled out free breakfast clubs in schools. We're expanding free school meals to 500,000 more kids, lifting 100,000 children out of poverty as we do it. We've passed the Renters' Rights Act, and we've extended the childcare offer. And I'm proud of all of that. But it's not enough. Because there is one policy that pushes kids into poverty more than any other.
There we go.
It was introduced by the party opposite.
Two-child cap. It's going. It's going. It's going. Going. Go on.
They said it would save money and that it would bring about behavioural change, disincentivising poorer families from having more children. Well, even on its own terms, it failed. The welfare bill has continued to rise, and there's been no difference in the size of families. But what it has done is to push hundreds of thousands of children into poverty since it was introduced. They said they were punishing parents' choices, but it's the kids who have paid the price. They've paid the price for the policies of a party which opted for cynical gimmicks over real savings in our welfare system. I understand that many families are finding times hard and that many kids have had to make difficult choices when it comes to having kids. And there are many reasons why people choose to have children and then find themselves in difficult times. The death of a partner, separation, ill health, a lost job. I don't believe that children should have to bear the brunt of that. And neither can I, in good conscience, leave in place the vile policy known as the rape clause, requiring women to prove if their child has been conceived non-consensually to receive support. I'm proud to be Britain's first female Chancellor of the Exchequer. I take the responsibilities that come with that seriously. I will not tolerate the grotesque indignity of women of the rape clause any longer. It is dehumanising, it is cruel, and I will remove it from the statute book. And so because I am tackling fraud and error in our welfare system, because I am cracking down on tax avoidance, because I am reforming gambling taxation, I can announce today, fully costed and fully funded, the removal of the two-child limit in full from April.
Hurrah! Cap has gone. Cap has gone. Yes! Wave your order paper. Wave it.
This side of the house. It's amazing what people get so angry about, and we've seen their true colours today. The thing they get angry about is lifting children out of poverty.
You got them on the barrel there, Rachel.
Order. Our constituents will want to hear the Chancellor.
I think our constituents have heard all they need to from the party opposites today. We on this side of the House do not believe that the solution to a broken welfare system is to punish the most vulnerable. We are lifting 450,000 children out of poverty with the end of the two-child limit. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, combined with other actions we are taking, this Labour government is achieving the biggest reduction in child poverty over a parliament since records began. That is the difference that this Labour government is making. Madam Deputy Speaker, I know how worried families are about the cost of everything. Worried that their money won't stretch to the end of the month. Worried that price... I think if you've got a house that's worth £5 million a year, you can probably afford it. But you get more exercise about reducing child poverty than you do about the richest paying more. Under this government, wages have risen by more since we were elected than in 10 years under the last government, with lower interest rates already saving families £1,200 a year off a typical new mortgage, compared to that to when Liz Truss was Prime Minister.
Oh, she's done it again.
I know that people still
She's gone for the emergency trust.
day to day and week to week.
We're emergency trust.
And where there is more to do, where we can provide relief, we are doing it. Extending the bus fare cap, cracking down on rip-off price hikes, freezing prescription charges, and freezing rail fares for the first time in 30 years.
I'm supposed to show the emergency trust again.
I am increasing the basic and new state pension by 4.8%, an increase of £440 per year for the basic state pension. And an increase of £575 per year for the new state pension, in line with our commitment to the triple lock. At the election, we promised a genuine living wage, and we are delivering it. At the budget last year, I increased the national minimum wage and the national living wage, and I am doing the same this year too. Accepting the recommendations of the Low Pay Commission in full, and increasing the minimum wage for 18 to 20-year-olds from £10 to £10.85 an hour, and increasing the living wage from £12.21 to £12.71 an hour.
Okay.
Under current plans, the temporary 5p cut to fuel duty that was introduced during the pandemic will come to an end in April, and fuel duty will be uprated in line with inflation. But I know that the cost of travelling to and from work is still too expensive. And so I am extending the 5p cut until September 2026. And because I know that changes in wholesale prices are not always passed on to motorists, I am bringing in new rules to mandate petrol forecourts to share real-time price rises through a new fuel finder, empowering drivers to find the cheapest fuel, calling out rip-offs and strengthening competition, saving the average household £40 a year. Madam Deputy Speaker, one of the greatest drivers of the rising cost of living is the cost of energy prices.
Yes.
The cause of high energy bills must be tackled at source.
Putin.
We are investing in energy security, in nuclear and renewable energy, and in insulation through our Warm Homes Plan. But that's not enough when people are struggling with energy bills today. The Conservatives' Eco Scheme was presented as a plan to tackle fuel poverty. It costs households £1.7 billion a year on their bills.
Wow.
And for 97% of families in fuel poverty, the scheme, get this, has cost them more than it's saved.
Wow.
It is a failed scheme, and so I am scrapping it, along with taking other legacy costs off bills. And as a result, I can tell you today that for every family, we are keeping our promise to get energy bills down and cut the cost of living. With £150 cut from the average household bill from April next year.
Wow.
Money off bills and in the pockets of working people, that is my choice. Not to neglect Britain's energy security like the Tories did. Not to leave working families to bear the brunt of high prices like the Tories did, but to get energy costs down now and in the future. That is the Labour choice. And Madam Deputy Speaker, one more thing. Because of our action on bills and on prices, as a direct result of this budget, the Office for Budget Responsibility confirmed today that inflation is coming down faster and will be a full 0.4 percentage points lower next year. That's the benefit of a Labour government cutting the cost of living. Madam Deputy Speaker, this Labour government is changing our country. In the face of challenges on our productivity, I will grow our economy through stability, investment and reform. I've met my fiscal rules and built our economic resilience for the future. I have asked everyone to contribute, yes, for the security of our country and the brightness of its future. But I have kept that contribution as low as possible by reforming our tax system, making it fairer and stronger for the future. I have protected our NHS, maintaining public investment and driving efficiency in government spending. I've taken action on our broken welfare system, rooting out waste and lifting children out of poverty. And I have cut the cost of living, with money off bills and prices frozen, all while keeping every single one of our manifesto commitments. Those are my choices.
Mr. Rankin. Miss Morton, your voice carries right across the chamber. Right across the chamber. Try and take
Joe,
a
she's
breath
53
every so
years
often.
old. She's
Chancellor.
53. She's doing well.
Those are my choices. Not austerity, not reckless borrowing, but cutting the debt, cutting waiting lists, and cutting the cost of living. Those are Labour choices, promised and delivered by this budget, promised and delivered by this Labour government. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, I commend this statement to the House.
There you go. Whilst Missionary feels a little less pessimistic. I need a piece of paper then. Maybe I shouldn't pick up something that's got my address on it. Oh, fuck. I need some paper.
Order!
All the bits of paper around me have got my address on.
Order number 51. The first motion, entitled Provisional Collection of Taxes, must be decided without debate. Will the Chancellor of the Exchequer please move formally? Chancellor, please move formally.
Formally.
The question is that pursuant to Section 5 of the Provisional Collection of Taxes Act 1968, provisional statutory effect shall be given to the following motions. Stamp duty reserve tax, UK listing relief, motion number 60. Rates of tobacco products duty, motion number 65. As many of their opinions say aye.
Aye.
Of the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. We now come to the motion entitled Income Tax Charge. It is on this motion that the debate will take place today and on the succeeding days. The questions on this motion and on the remaining motions will be put at the end of the budget debate on Tuesday, the 2nd of December. I call the Chancellor of the Exchequer to move the motion formally.
Formally.
The question is that income tax is charged for the tax year 2026-27, and it is declared that this and is expedient in the public interest that this resolution should have statutory effect under the provisions of the Provisional Collections of Taxes Act 1968.
The provision of the
I
provisional.
now call the Leader of the Opposition. Leader of the Opposition. Kemi Badenoch.
Right, here we go. Here's the rebuttal. Let's see what she's got.
Thank you, Madam Deputy
Income
Speaker.
tax hasn't gone up, really.
And may I congratulate the Right Honourable Lady on delivering her second budget. I hope she enjoyed it, because it really should be her last. What a total humiliation.
What?
A total humiliation.
Can colleagues who are exiting the chamber do so swiftly so we can focus on the Leader of the Opposition? Swiftly exit, quietly.
Yeah, get the fuck out.
Right.
Gobshites.
Leader of the Opposition.
It's a total humiliation, Madam Deputy Speaker. Last year, she put up taxes by £40 billion, the biggest tax rate in British history.
Didn't put my taxes
She promised that she wouldn't be back for more.
My
She
taxes haven't gone
swore
up.
it was a one-off.
My
She
taxes
told
haven't gone up.
everyone that from now on, it would be stability and
Yep.
she would pay for everything with growth. Today, she has broken every single one of those
No, she hasn't, because I'm still
If
not
she
paying
had
any more
any
tax.
decency, she would resign.
Personally, I'm not arsed.
Budget,
I'm not paying any more
at the
tax.
last budget, she said she was proud to be the country's first ever female chancellor. After this budget, she will go down as the country's worst ever chancellor.
Okay, go on then. Go on then. Go on, explain. Explain. She just went for the emergency trust herself.
Order.
That's
And
amazing.
The Chief Whip in particular knows that we don't allow clapping in the chamber. Leader of the Opposition.
Today she has announced a new tax rate of £26 billion. They're all
Tax
cheering.
rate.
Household income is down. Spending policies in this budget increase borrowing in every year. That smorgasbord of misery we just heard from her can be summed up in one sentence. Labour
Well,
are
it's going to go
hiking
down
taxes
as a
to pay
percentage
for
of
welfare.
GDP.
This is a budget for Benefit Street, Madam Deputy Speaker, paid for by working people. This budget increases benefits for 560,000 families by an average of £5,000. They are hiking taxes on workers, pensioners and savers.
When you say working people,
handouts
and you talk about it going up £5,000, that's for like the elite. That's for someone with a £7.5 million house.
They can chanter all they like. These are these same backbenchers, Madam Deputy Speaker, who cheered last year when she taxed jobs and left more than 100,000 people without an income. They cheered because they didn't understand the consequences of what they were doing, and they still don't. Madam Deputy Speaker, it's not been an easy time for the Chancellor. No one liked seeing her sitting on those benches as it dawned on her that her own backbenchers were going to do to her political career what she's done to our economy. But she could have chosen today to bring down welfare spending and get more people into work. Instead, she has chosen to put up tax after tax after tax.
She's made it so that
taxes on workers, taxes on savers,
small
taxes on
businesses can take on
taxes
apprenticeships
on investors, taxes
for
on
free,
homes, holidays,
for free.
cars, I think even milkshakes. Taxes on anyone doing the right thing.
Doing the right thing, no, being dead
this
rich.
Government have lost what little credibility they had left, and no one will ever trust
Thank you
her
very much,
again.
Saz. It's very kind of you for the £5 super chat.
What's amazing, Madam Deputy Speaker, is that she has the nerve to come to this House and claim this is all someone else's fault. A laundry list of excuses. Yes. Madam Deputy Speaker, they blame the Conservatives as if we'd been sneaking into the Treasury under the cover of darkness to give pay rises to the unions. She inherited
is she going to talk
an
about
economy
union
with
paymasters?
inflation at 2% and record high employment. She has tanked it in just over a year. Endless excuses. She blames Brexit. She blames Donald Trump. She needs to blame herself. And I've got some news for her. The Chancellor didn't seem to understand what the OBR was saying. Inflation is up, not down, and that inflation
your
was
blood
stoked
pressure,
by
Ivan.
her tax and
Thank you very much for the
spending.
super chat.
The economic fiscal outlook says that they expect inflation to stay higher for longer. Everybody else has read it. She still hasn't read the OBR analysis. She blames higher than expected borrowing costs. Where does she think they came from? Those borrowing costs are driven by her lack of grip. She is paying more, you're saying us, she's paying more to borrow than Greece. She is paying more to borrow than at any point under the 14 years of Conservative government.
Yes.
Perhaps if Labour MPs read a book sometimes,
going off the
they know
charts.
something.
It's going off the charts.
An energy crisis, Madam Deputy Speaker. Under us, we had an energy crisis sparked by a war in Ukraine and a global pandemic. What is her excuse? What is her excuse? She is taking the public for fools, but they are under no illusions whose fault this is. The fact is,
grip you've got
the
my arm there,
bad
mate.
choices she is making today,
let me out now.
choices to break promises, choices to put up taxes, choices to spend more of other people's money, are because of the bad choices she made at the last disastrous budget. If you want growth, you need to start with knowing what kind of country you want to be and make a plan to get there. Create certainty for the people and businesses who will drive growth. There is no growth and no plan because Labour focused on settling scores and scratching the itches they had in opposition. She promised stability, she delivered chaos. Just look at the circus around this budget.
Are you kidding me?
Then more leaks to try to undo
that
the
was
damage.
quite chaos. But I mean, compared with the
Calling
Tories,
panicky
come
press
on.
conferences, U-turning on her U-turns, rolling the pitch one day only to plough through it the next. She had the cheek to talk about stability, Madam Deputy Speaker. She has become the first Chancellor in history to release the whole budget ahead of time. This is extraordinary. It tells you everything you need to know about her grip on the
There was
Treasury.
loads of stuff
She's
that
making
wasn't
the
mentioned
UK a
beforehand.
shambolic laughingstock to international investors, and if she doesn't resign for breaking her promises, she should sure as hell go for this.
It says ever, look. It says ever. Because they didn't do it right. But, still. Look, it's got off the charts.
What have we got for all this chaos
999.
and disorder? There are 1 million more people claiming universal credit than there were at the time of the last budget. Government spending, up.
Hey,
Welfare
Kemi, you
spending,
gave me an
up.
error on my blood
Universal
pressure
credit
monitor.
claimants, up. Unemployment, up.
Oh,
Debt
fucking hate it when you
interest,
do this.
up.
Down,
Inflation,
down.
up.
Down.
And what about the things
Down.
that you want to go up? What about the things you want to go up? Growth, down. Investment, down.
Up.
Business confidence,
Up.
down.
Up.
The credibility of the Chancellor, and not just
Miss
down,
Paula Thomas
through the
Badenoch
floor.
is
These figures are
living
shocking. Does
down
she
to my
really
name
think
for her
that anyone will be
nickname.
confused by the sleight of her hand
Thanks
that
to
she
the
had
super
in her
chat.
speech? Her speech today was an exercise in self-delusion. Today, she had an opportunity to
Wine.
apologise and show some humility.
What?
Instead,
Apologise?
we've been fed puff pieces in the Times and the FT showing a woman wallowing in self-pity, whining about mansplaining and misogyny.
While she's
Madam
talking
Deputy
about
Speaker,
this, another 1,000 people have signed
let
a
me
petition
explain
for
to the
inquiry
Chancellor.
into Russian
Woman,
interference.
Order. Colleagues need to simmer down, most definitely, and just breathe a little and allow the Leader of the Opposition to be heard. Leader of the Opposition.
all we've had is wallowing in self-pity and whining about misogyny and mansplaining. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, let me explain to the Chancellor, woman to woman. People out there aren't complaining because she's female, they're complaining because she is utterly incompetent. Real equality means being held to the same standard as everyone else. It means being judged on results. Take her bright idea, the Office for Value for Money. It's been closed down because it didn't save a penny. In fact, it cost the taxpayer £1.6 million. You couldn't make this stuff up. Madam Deputy Speaker, I've identified a way to save taxpayers huge amounts of money by sacking just one person, the woman sitting opposite. The ex-chief economist of the Bank of England was not mansplaining. He wasn't mansplaining when he said the uncertainty around today's budget is the single biggest reason growth has flatlined. What did the Chancellor think would happen when she went on breakfast telly to do an emergency public service announcement? I interrupt your Cheerios to bring you this frightening message about income tax. And then, unbelievably, she changed her mind 3 days later. No wonder people are in despair. She says she wants people to respect her.
Order. Conservative colleagues are drowning out the Leader of the Opposition speech, so just be mindful nobody will be able to hear her at home. Leader of the Opposition.
Madam Deputy Speaker, she says she wants people to respect her. Respect is earned. She apparently told Labour MPs this week, I'll
She
show
is
the
very
media,
condescending.
I'll show the Tories, I will not let them beat me. Show us what? Making stuff up at the dispatch box, incompetence, chaos, and the
I was just laughing at Rachel Reeves' face.
She said to them, Madam Deputy Speaker, I'll be there
Everyone
on
is
Wednesday.
12.
I'll be there
Everyone
next
is
year,
12.
and I'll be back
Everyone
the
is
year
12.
after that. God help us. She is spineless, shameless, and completely aimless. Talk to any business. Talk to someone looking for a job. Unemployment is up every single month since Labour have been in office. They don't want to hear it, but it's true. They're shouting and complaining they cannot create jobs. It is the worst year for graduate recruitment on record. Are they proud of this? Companies like Merck and INEOS slashing investment plan.
Order. If you're on the front bench, I can obviously see you, Mr. Kyle. And there's no need for you to be chuntering this loud. They can see and hear you as well. Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. They don't want to hear the truth, but I'm speaking for all of those people out there who are sick of this government. Companies like Merck and INEOS are slashing investment plans. The construction sector has shrunk. How is that house building target going, by the way? I'll tell you, Madam Deputy Speaker, they are miles behind and won't even come close to what we achieved. Business confidence is at record lows. No wonder today future growth has been revised down in every year of the scorecard. The papers are reporting that 1 in 8 business leaders is planning to leave Britain. Even one of Labour's biggest ever donors, Lakshmi Mittal, has fled the country.
Fled. With a passport.
What we have in front of us is a budget littered with broken promises. She stood on a manifesto which promised better returns for UK savers. Today, she's putting up taxes on savings, on salary sacrifice even. She promised to give pensioners the security and retirement they deserve. Today, she slapped higher taxes on people saving for their pensions. She promised to make Britain the best place in the world to invest and do business. Today, she has raised the dividend tax rates. She and the Prime Minister had already broken their promise to freeze council tax, but today she's decided to go even further, introducing a new property tax clobbering family homes that will only raise small amounts. This is Labour's Britain. This is Labour's Britain. People who work hard,
Rachel Reeves just looking at it going,
people
what?
who work hard and save hard to buy their homes
Did you actually listen to my speech?
While those who don't work, who in some cases refuse to work, get their accommodation paid for by taxpayers. And then to top it all off, because taxing your home, your car, your savings and your pension wasn't enough, she has, by her own admission, broken her manifesto promise on income tax. Because in the last budget, she said, and I quote, "I am keeping every single promise on tax that I made in our manifesto, so there will be no extension of the freeze in income tax thresholds." She said in that budget that extending the threshold freeze would hurt working people and take money out of their payslips. But today, she has done exactly that. Why should anyone believe anything she's promised in this budget? And so where is the money going? Small changes to rail fares and prescriptions, these are distractions while she steals your wallet. The real story here, Madam Deputy Speaker, the real story is that Labour have lost control of welfare spending. Not only will working people have their tax thresholds frozen while benefits go up in line with inflation, not only have Labour abandoned reforms that would have saved the taxpayer £5 billion after pressure from these backbenchers, today they have added another £3 billion to the bill by scrapping the two-child benefit cap.
Look at her.
We introduced that cap, Madam Deputy Speaker, because it means people on benefits have to make the same decisions about having children as everyone else. Even Labour voters know that it strikes the right balance between supporting people who are struggling and protecting taxpayers who are struggling
Forcing
themselves.
women to prove they were raped.
Just this summer, the Chancellor admitted that lifting the two-child benefit cap was not affordable. But that was before the Prime Minister accidentally fired the starting gun on the race to replace him. So now he and the Chancellor are buying the votes of their own MPs with taxpayers' money. If she wants to reduce child poverty, she should stop taxing their parents and stop destroying their jobs. She congratulated herself on a new tax on landlords. Let me tell her this. Hiking tax on landlords will only push up rents. It will push landlords out of the market. The people who will suffer are the tenants. And then she talks about taxes on electric vehicles. These changes will hit rural drivers the hardest, but we know that Labour don't care about rural people. All this budget delivers is higher taxes and out-of-control spending. Nobody voted for this. The Chancellor must take responsibility.
I'm quite happy with this, actually.
She chose to impose the jobs tax, driving unemployment higher month after month. She chose to abandon welfare reform, meaning the benefits bill is spiralling. She chose to spend more and more money she didn't have, leaving taxpayers to foot the bill. She is out of money, out of ideas, out of her depth, and she has run out of road.
You've not addressed anything that she said.
The country simply cannot afford a Chancellor who can't keep her own promises. Her position is untenable, and she knows it. She's talking to the Chancellor. Is he mansplaining to you, by the way? Is he mansplaining? Do you want some help? Would you like some help?
Patronising motherfucker. What a twat!
What the Prime Minister should do is grow a backbone and sack her. But he won't, because he knows if she goes down, he goes down with her. So we're stuck with them both, Laurel and foolhardy. Does she have any any sympathy for the people facing Christmas without a salary because of her jobs tax, for the retailers who are suffering sleepless nights because of their plummeting Christmas sales. People out there are crying. Last year, we had the horrors of the Halloween budget. This year, it's the nightmare before Christmas. And as for her, she's the unwelcome Christmas guest. 10 minutes through the door, and she's eaten all the Quality Street, madam.
Oh, fuck off with the dad jokes. Jesus Christ.
But let me tell the Chancellor, let me tell the Chancellor something she has forgotten. Behind every line in today's Red Book is a family, a home, a lifetime of work and sacrifice. People are frightened, and they have every reason to be. The Chancellor has spent the last year terrifying them. Every decision that she and the Prime Minister make puts more pressure on the people who keep this country going. If Labour are the party of working people, why is it that every day under them, thousands more people are signing off work and onto benefits? It's Conservatives who are the party of work. The Labour Party should be renamed the Welfare Party. And they are making a mistake. The British public don't want higher welfare spending. They want people in work providing for themselves. They want to live in a country where hard work pays, where what you put in reflects what you get out. And we agree with them. There is an alternative. We Conservatives have set it out. This budget could have saved £47 billion, including £23 billion from welfare. She could have applied our golden economic rule, allocating half of those savings to cutting the deficit and using the rest to cut taxes.
That would have been a lot more
they're all
profitable.
pretending they're not listening. It's the shame of the mess they've made. It's the shame of the mess they've made.
Order.
I'm just going to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to Di Stanton for the £20 super chat. Thank you very much. Utter shite. I paid as a minuscule on dividend tax. OTOH benefits have increased, which the Tories automatically treat as a bad thing. As the great Nick Lowe said, what's so funny about peace, love and understanding? Indeed. Thank you very much, Di. That's very kind of you. If we get 3 more super chats in, we will get confetti. So if you want some confetti out of this nightmare, just go ahead.
Mr. Vince. Mr. Thompson, you're so enthusiastic.
Even the dog is laughing at the Chancellor, Madam Deputy Speaker. She could have applied our golden economic rule, allocating half of those savings to cutting the deficit, using the rest to cut taxes. She could have abolished stamp duty on homes to get the housing market moving, abolished business rates on shops to breathe life into our high streets. She could have introduced our cheap power plant. It saves a lot more money than what she announced would bring down energy costs for homes and businesses. That's what she should have done. She should be on the side of people who get up and go to work, people who take a risk to start a company, people working all hours to keep their business afloat. She should be on the side of the farmer, trying to hand something over to the next generation. The investor, deciding whether to spend their money in the UK or elsewhere. She should be on the side of the young person, looking for their first job. The saver,
they are. They've just made it so apprenticeships are free for SMEs.
The pensioner, trying to enjoy a decent retirement. This country works when you make the country work for them. Only the Conservatives are on their side, Madam Deputy Speaker. And our plan for them is simple. Bring down energy costs, cut spending, cut tax, back business, and get Britain working again.
That was awful. Everyone's just leaving. Lammy's out. Vivek Cooper's out.
Colleagues are exiting. Can they do so quietly and quickly before we come to our first backbench contribution?
Okay. I think we're going to leave it at that.
Quickly.
Okay. Right. So that was PMQs and the budget. If anything exciting happens, I will let you know. But at the moment, everyone's just fucking leaving. So, yeah, we might as well leave as well. What did you think? Tell me in the chat. I think that the actual things that were put forward there in the budget, I think there was a lot of good stuff. Like, there was a lot of good stuff in there. Okay, put my volume back up now, says Ashby. So the idea will be that by the end of this Parliament, there'll be a £21 billion bit of headroom. And she said she was going to bring this in without resorting to austerity, borrowing, or unfairness. The OBS report has improved the 1% growth that we were supposed to get next year to 1.5%, but the 4 years after that have been downgraded. I think Rachel Reeves is gambling that they will actually be wrong on that, and that the British economy will actually do well in the next few years. We've seen some mucking around with ISAs in that you're going to be able to put £20,000 a year into ISAs still, but £8,000 of that is going to go into investments. Tax rates are on the first year allowance of a new business is going to be reduced. And we're also going to see, she talked about Northern Powerhouse Rail. And as I said at the time, I'm sick of hearing about Northern Powerhouse Rail. The day I can get on a fucking train from fucking Durham for a tenner and get to Liverpool in an hour is the day I'll believe it, you know? At the moment, it takes 3 hours to get from Durham to Liverpool, and it costs a fucking fortune, and it's the same amount of time that it takes to get to London. Makes no. In fact, if you get the fast train, it's actually quicker. It's quicker to get the fast train to London than it is to get to Liverpool across the Pennines. Farage is a Russian asset. She said that, which is great. We've also got a £13 billion fund, which is going to 7 mayors around the country. It's going to go to Labour mayors. That'd be hilarious. They're investing millions into things like critical minerals in this country, which I guess, you know, I can understand that. There's also investments around the UK. So she rattled off a bunch of investments that are going to happen. We're going to see the fact that our current debt is apparently £2.6 trillion. According to Rachel Reeves. That's 83% of our GDP. I actually thought it was higher than that. I thought it was 90%. But that means that £1 in every £10 that we spend in tax goes on debt interest, not paying back the debt, but just debt interest. She talked about reducing the amount of tax that we're paying, the amount of debt repayments that we're paying, getting that down. The way she described it was a bit weird. She said 83.3% next year. The year after be 83.6%, and then 83.7%. So it's going up and up and up. And then it'll come down to 83.0%, and then down to 82.2%. So, yeah. And then spending on debt, she's saying that it's going to be on day-to-day debt, right? So not day-to-day debt. Debt on day-to-day spending, which is that's the difficult one, right? And like I said, when I stopped the video, I don't mind them spending money on stuff that is a structural, improving investment or infrastructure in this country. Yeah, I'm all for it. Borrow for that. I don't care. What I do care about is them borrowing for day-to-day expenses, which I understand that's unsustainable as we are getting an aging population that we all have to somehow accommodate and pay for, while no one wants to pay extra taxes. So yeah, there's 5 million for libraries and secondary schools, which I don't care about. That was also in the spring statement. Okay, cool. It's not buttering my parsnips, to steal an expression from James O'Brien. But 18 million for upgrading playgrounds. Yeah, okay, I can get behind that. The thing about apprenticeships being free for SMEs is fucking fantastic. We're going to see tax thresholds frozen. So it's not like your income tax is going to go up, but people are going to get paid more because people get paid more in line with inflation. But the thresholds where you have to pay a higher rate of tax won't go up. Now, don't worry, because you only have to pay a higher rate of tax on the tax that you earn above the rate, whatever it's 50 grand, say. It's only on the stuff you earn above 50 grand that'll be taxed at a higher rate. You get to keep the rest at a lower tax rate. So thresholds are going to be frozen. There's what else? I can't read my notes here. There's going to be this tax on wealth, where essentially if you are in a big fuck off mansion that's worth £2 million, you will have to pay a council tax surcharge of £2,500. And if it goes up to 5 million, you'll be paying, I think it was £7,500 a year, which is fair enough. If your house is worth over £5 million, you can afford £7,500. You probably spend that a day on champagne or whatever the fuck these people drink. And this is only going to affect the top 1% of the population. So tax the 1%. Yep, Labour have just successfully found a way of taxing the 1%. In fact, it's less than 1% of the population this is going to actually affect. When it comes to salary sacrifice towards pensions, that's going to be addressed. There's going to be a £2,000 cap on salary sacrifice on pensions because it's a bit unfair on people on low income, people who are working part-time, people who are working 0 hours contracts, people who work for companies that don't offer a pension, who miss out on this. So it's basically the good earners who are doing the best out of this, as well as everyone else isn't doing so well at all. Just going to private pension schemes that make money for the already rich. Then we've got the 100% capital gains tax relief if a company is bought by the employees. They're getting that down to 50%, but they're also doing things to encourage co-ops. So I'll need some explaining for how that is a good thing, but there you go. Pubs are going to have their licenses brought under reform, and they're going to be getting lower rates for and also businesses in city centres and things are going to be paying lower rates, and they're going to be putting up rates on warehouses effectively. This is to try and balance the playing field out with Amazon and all that. EVs are getting taxed at 3 pence per mile. Hybrids at 1.5 pence a mile, and the reason for that is there's no tax coming from them for fuel duty, which is a big source of income for the government. And if we're going to go to having complete all new cars being electric by 2030, obviously we do need money to keep the roads going, etc. Taxi drivers are going to get some relief in that the loophole that allows people to say it's not a taxi, it's a coach, and pay lower tax or something is going to be taken away. Remote gambling duty is going to go up from 19%, I think she said, to 40%. That's fantastic. And other gambling duty is going to go up from 15% to 25%, which is fantastic. I'd like more than that. And the 2-child cap is gone. This will lift 450,000 children out of poverty. That is obviously brilliant. That's really, really good. Pensions are going to rise for people on pensions now by £440 a year. On the new pension schemes, it's going to go up by £575. So people are going to be better off, and they still get the winter fuel allowance, most of them. We're seeing the minimum wage rise to £10.85 for 18 to 20-year-olds, and then the living wage is rising to £12.71. And that's going to increase the amount that people are earning by over £1,000 a year for a 40-hour work week. That's pretty good. And then we've got the Tories' eco schemes for houses, which is a big fucking disaster. The Tories, they wanted to bring in insulation, and they fucked it up, and they gave it to these dodgy companies that fucked it up, and now people are living with mold in their homes because there's no air circulation, and water is getting trapped in the walls. They're getting rid of that, and it wasn't benefiting 97% of properties. So it was costing 97% of properties or people living in poverty. It was costing them more than saving them. So they're going to get rid of that. And the OBR, apparently inflation is due to come down 0.4% next year. And and that's about it, I think. I don't know if I missed any massive things. Let's jump into the chat. One Angry Pig says, Kemi, oh no, tax is bad, tax is bad. Jane says, thanks, Graham, we've got hope again. Well spent couple of hours. Laters all says, Lost Missionary, see you later. We've got Bowles there saying, she does say the country only works when it works for the pensioners. No wonder productivity is screwed. Yeah. Very good Keynesian light budget, says Grim Fandango. Some solid socialist policies. Hope to see more if things improve. I'd like to see the details and make sure I haven't missed anything. Yeah, definitely. Breaking, definitely unbiased news. Labia is big bad Tories good. That's from Duke Vengeance. I think Labour. beyond the income tax freezers, threshold freezers. Yeah, indeed. Investments have much better returns anyway. That is true. People make money in their sleep, while all people who are working for their money pay a much higher rate of tax, which is fucking crazy. Why doesn't the Shadow Chancellor do the opposition responses? I don't know. It went to questions, but you know, come on, we've been broadcasting now for 2 hours and 13 minutes. I think we've done enough. If anyone does want to throw in a super chat, if anyone's excited or anyone's devastated by this budget, please feel free to throw that in. If we get 3 more super chats, we will have confetti, and Diz will be very excited. So let's make this excited. Like I said, we have been yakking on here. Well, I mean, I didn't talk that much during the actual thing because, I mean, I don't want to interrupt it too much. And also, I felt like every time I stopped it to talk, and I'm not talking over anyone, I put it onto 1.2 speed to like catch up. So I wasn't like getting further and further behind. Because one of the things I didn't want is people putting in the chat what was going to happen next. Because, you know, spoilers. That 21 billion headroom is the average Joe basically being worse off, says the Pacman. Nothing to do with nothing really to tackle wealth inequality. Well, there is the mansion tax. There is the mansion tax. That is big. I mean, it's not perfect. I want an overhaul of all council taxes, but she made the point that someone living in Blackpool is paying more on their 2 up, 2 down terraced house property than someone in Kensington or Mayfair pays on their fucking mansion. So yeah, let's do something about that. Amy says cynical, but looks like they're backloading all the good stuff for near the general election, which would work out better for us overall. Duke Vengeance says we now have to go live to Tory McTwatface in the field for a shocking budget. How bad is it, Tory? Tory McTwatface, what a terrible budget. Thanks, Tory. Says Duke Vengeance, giving us a little script there. Chris says, I will let you know how well the budget is based on my sales. If they stay the same or go up, it's a good budget. If they go down, then woo. She conveniently left out that tax bands will remain the same. Self-tax for many people whose wage will grow yearly. Yeah, but I mean, that is just about, if you squint, not raising taxes. And she did mention the fact that the Tories had already put that freeze in, and she was just continuing Tory policy. So that sort of took the gunpowder out of their guns, because you're like, don't do that thing that we were going to do. No, don't do that thing that we started. But also, if you are earning over £50,000 a year, yes, I think you should pay a bit more tax. I think you should. I just think you should. I'm going to get off now and re-energize for Phil's live later. Haha. Yeah, I'm glad that's in place, but 7.5 thousand is peanuts to people. It will affect. Yeah, I know it's peanuts. That's why you should make them pay it. This is absolutely why we should make them pay, the fucking bastards. Amy says cynical, but as long as it's effectively paid back by the end of Parliament, can we really complain? Nick says wage rises won't be sustainable for long anyway, as AI and robotics upend the labour market. So somewhat academic. Nick, I might be a deluded optimist, but I don't see the AI revolution destroying the jobs market in the way that people might think, because AI can't fold laundry, it can't wire a plug, it can't drive. You know, like the idea that we're going to be jumping in robo-taxis in the next couple of years and everyone who drives anywhere is going to be out of a job. I can't see it happening. I really can't see it happening. Not least because good luck driving a robo-taxi on the roads around Durham today. They're all covered in fucking ice because our council hasn't gritted the fucking roads. We have a refuck council, by the way. But yeah, the ice out there is not great. And just the visibility on Monday this week, it was absolutely horrific out there. It was teeming down with sleety rain. Just imagining a robo-taxi trying to navigate the hills and the narrow country lanes of Durham. I can't see it. Set routes maybe going from a city centre to an airport, perhaps. But the reality is that the way AI is set up, it is glaringly obvious that things are AI. And I know that they're going to be, changing images, and oh my God, that's going to ruin people's jobs if they work for Getty, I guess. I don't work for Getty. I don't know. I don't know what jobs are going to go, to be honest with you. I'm even when they say, oh, all of our people on the phone are going to be replaced by AI, and they're like, no. Just go on your AI help bot on your bank app. It's fucking shit. It is shit. It'll ask you the same question 5 times with a straight face. And every time you answer, it goes, okay, that's nice, and asks you the same fucking question again. I can't see it getting leaps and bounds better. If it was all the investment that has been given into AI in the last few years, the trillions of dollars that have been given into AI would have paid off by now, I'm pretty sure. And whereas Google Images can make really good AI images now, they still look a bit AI. They still look a bit, uncanny valley. And as for video, 2 things, my friends: context, continuity. They haven't got a fucking clue. Just like modern architects, context, continuity. They don't know what it means. But yeah, so I'm, what, you got to go to the pub and you're going to be fucking served by an AI robot. I just can't see it. I just can't see it. How is the pound looking? Has the pound taken a pounding? Well, things seem fairly calm. Gilt yields went down when the OBR report came out, but then they went back to what they were. Disaster averted, saying the BBC. But, is this a sticking plaster? Badenoch saying, she said that the Labour should be renamed the Welfare Party. It's like, yeah, all right. And the up or down chant, that was fucking whatever. And Badenoch saying Reeves swore last year's tax rises were a one-off. I don't think she actually said that, but whatever. Yeah, no austerity or reckless borrowing, Reeves insists. And markets, UK budgets, UK borrowing costs fall after early release of budget forecast. That's not too bad. Let's have a look. Canary Wharf officers of Saxo UK. There is a race to understand the implication of the leaked forecasts. That's from 2 hours ago. Are we going to get an update here? Guardian, you got to give us an update. Let's see. Markets rise as budget will leave Reeves with 22 billion fiscal headroom, according to Yahoo Finance. The FT 100 and European stocks pushed higher on Wednesday as the Office of Budget Responsibility forecast the UK government will have almost 22 billion in fiscal headroom in 5 years' time. So there you go. The value of the pound immediately jumped after the prematurely published forecast showed tax revenue rises of 26.1 billion by 2029-30 and economic growth of 1.5% over the next 5 years. Yeah, so the markets have responded positively. There you go. I'll super chat you at the government when taking more of my money, says the Pac-Man. Oh, fair enough. The schemes get people back to work did not have that much detail. Yeah, I felt that as well, Ernie. I think it was a little light on detail. The preamble pissed me off, to be honest with you. She spent about 20 minutes of that fucking hour-long speech just doing the fucking preamble. I was like, can I have some figures? I want to write down some fucking figures here on my notepad. Johnny Cabs says L from Total Recall. Is that right? Did I get that right? Do a win. L, Fifth Element, wants some more. Gilts and FTSE have taken a hit, says Sam. What? I just had a look. Well, maybe the FTSE have. I just looked at what the... No, they said the FTSE 100's gone up. That was from 20 minutes. That was from 4 minutes ago. So yeah, the latest I've seen, it's gone up. But that's the FTSE 100, not the FTSE. Different things. AI can be used really well, but more often it's abused and overestimated. I'm afraid of the bubble and companies replacing staff after it, turning them into a house of cards. The problem with AI is it tracks more incomes, the more it will affect profit. The only way AI becomes an investment is by increasing productivity. The energy costs alone are a handicap. Yeah, they absolutely are. But I don't see any difference between when we move to using computers instead of typewriters, and then when we started using the internet, and then when we started using social media, and then when we started using AI. It's all just part of a process, and there'll be more jobs created in one area or another. But a lot of artists have got very upset about AI, and I'm not an artist. I don't pretend to be one. I'm not a designer. I'm not an illustrator. I'm not a painter, right? I'm not a singer, not a dancer, right? But here's the thing, right? I think, and I might be wrong, but I think that AI is going to make your paintings that you paint with your hands worth more because it's been made by a human. And you'll be able to put your video, your TikTok of you doing the painting with your hand and then selling that. People will watch the video of you making the damn thing. You'll make money from that. And then you'll get more money than you would have done had you not done that. And who can I see losing out on this? People who just do things on Photoshop. I think there's a big difference between someone who's actually got the artistic ability to like make amazing things with their hands and people who are just good at, putting layers on top of each other, which is what I do. Again, it's like, did the advent of the iPod Shuffle get rid of all the DJs? No. Maybe it should have done. Because an iPod Shuffle, what's the downside of it? Well, it will keep playing a song when no one's dancing to it till the bitter end. Yeah, DJs do that too, mate. Yeah. Also, AI music is going to replace lift music, electronic music. And you might like electronic music and you might brag about how many beats per minute the thing that you're listening to is. But the reality is that's been made on computers for fucking years. It's just been made using drum loops and samples from other people's fucking songs, some actual musicians' fucking songs. It's nothing new. Don't forget when synthesizers came out, musicians, including Phil Collins, got behind a big campaign to ban synthesizers because they thought that it was going to take away jobs from real musicians. And it didn't. It actually made people playing actual instruments worth so much more. Yeah, there was a big thing where people used synths in the 1980s. But, we've come on in leaps and bounds since then. And it's very cool when you go and see a band and they actually have someone who can play the double bass coming out on stage, or someone who can play the violin, or someone who can play the trumpet. It's cool. You're like, wow, they're playing the actual instrument. That's a lot cooler than someone just standing there in front of a keyboard pressing fucking keys. Just my opinion on it. I'm less concerned, and I know I'll have this row with or discussion, this debate with A. Thompson till we're blue in the teeth. But it's not something I'm overly concerned about. I think that the AI industry might actually help people who make stuff. You can't get AI to write a movie. It just can't. And if you could, it'll just make the shit movies that exist anyway. And they may as well be made by AI. So maybe people will stop making shit movies because people just look at it and go, that felt like it was made by AI, mate. That was fucking shite. There was no context. There was no continuity. But look at buildings and say, that looks like it was built by AI. Oh, no, I spent ages doing that. Oh, did you? Yeah, AutoCAD, I just did the ground floor and then went copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste for 50 floors above it. I went, ta-da! Went off to have me lunch. Amy Walker, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. The only thing robots can't do is transport because they have to deal with humans. Everything else involving a machine can already be automated. I can source you an example for any job you care to point out. Yeah, but I still think that I can't see this being done by a robot. I really can't see you watching this, wanting to watch this when it's a robot doing this kind of stuff, where it's an AI boss and you get to write things in the chat. Maybe a 12-year-old kid who's like dead excited about talking to a robot and having a robot pal. They might go for it, but no, I don't know. I just think that anything involving other human beings, you're going to need human beings to do it. You just are. Graham, I agree, but 50,000 a year doesn't hold the same weight as it did a few years ago. The average salary has gone from 27,000 to 35,000 and people are still struggling. I think that they should raise the higher rate to 60k. I'd love to earn 60k. I'd love to earn 50k. I'd love to earn 27k. That sounds fucking great. Can we do that? I'm sorry, I don't have much. I just think, what are you spending your fucking money on? Maybe if people were really struggling on 60 grand a year because they're having to pay rent to someone, having to give someone else money so they can buy their second home, pay off the mortgage on their second home with your labour. Maybe people will rise up against landlords more. That'd be great. My amazing Spectrum grandson thinks AI will mean his system's knowledge and skill will be unnecessary. He is only 11. I've told him human innovation will always win. Yeah, Jane, because AI is an echo of human creativity. It's a, you know, it can only take what already exists. It can't innovate. It can't come up with new stuff. It just can't. It can analyze old stuff. It can analyze patterns. And I think in medicine, AI is going to be great. I don't think it's going to stop doctors existing. It's like, oh, we don't need any doctors anymore. We've got AI. Would you trust AI, which gets everything fucking wrong? And I said this the other day, typed into ChatGPT, which, how much money has been poured into ChatGPT so far? Let's type that in. Let's see how much money poured into ChatGPT. Okay, how much money has, they have raised total funding of 57.9 billion. That's just funding, right? That is an insane amount of money to spend on something. And the other day, I put into ChatGPT, list me all of the elements that have 6 letters in. A job that you could give a 6-year-old child. And they could just put a little mark on the list of all the elements that have 6 letters in. ChatGPT couldn't do it. I read it out. I read out the list it gave me. It gave me argon in the list, which has 5 letters. It gave me xenon, which has 5 letters. It gave me neon, which has 4 letters. And it gave me Uranus as an element with 4. To be fair, Uranus does have 6 letters. It's not a fucking element, though. And it made up an entirely new element called argent. Great, thanks. I needed a Latin name for silver, I guess. Yeah, I'm honestly demonstrably cool about AI. Amy, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. That is very kind. Think of it like getting rid of the jobs no one wants, but still employing people with increased wages so the economy keeps going. Yeah. But I think it just makes people more productive. Like, I have got more productive because I use ChatGPT to write me fucking descriptions for me videos and to put together bullet lists, so I can actually go through while I'm doing a show, which really helps me. I mean, first of all, I couldn't have time to do that. I used to spend, when I did the Hughes of the World shows, I'd spend all day researching the countries that I was going to talk about, making the lists. I used to dictate into Google Translate and then have to go through what it had come up. Sorry, Google Transcribe, not Translate. Yeah, translated it from Scouse into English. Google Transcribe. I'll then copy and swipe that into a Google document. And then I'd have to read through the document myself. And it was obviously full of errors because, you know. And not great at all. And it would take me all fucking day. Now I can just type in, here you go, here's the Wikipedia page. Just give me the details, and I can fill in all the rest myself about my personal experiences going there. But I don't want to be sitting there telling you a load of bullshit about a given country. So yes, it's all good. I tell you what else is all good. We have, I think, it's the first time ever on PMQs with Graham Hughes. Daylight M, £5 super chat. Thank you. OpenAI want to spend $4 trillion in the next 10 years in capex, and AI makes up 40% of the US economy. The bubble will burst very soon, and it's going to be very ugly. Yes, I agree with you, but also thank you so much for setting off the confetti. Woo! We did it in the chat. Thank you everyone. Like I say, that's unusual for PMQs. We normally don't get much in the way of super chats on this, but obviously today's a bit special because we're doing a special bumper show, which has now just hit over the 2.5 hour mark. I'm sure you are all sick of hearing my voice, but if you're not, join me at 6 o'clock tonight for The Rabbit Hole with me and Rachel. We're going to be jumping down the rabbit hole together, and we're going to be talking about anything but politics. So if you're sick of hearing about the fucking budget, if you're sick of hearing about Donald fucking Trump or Elon fucking Musk, or any of these gobshites like Graham Linehan creep, just jump down the rabbit hole with us at 6 o'clock this evening. It'll be awesome, I promise you. And AI can handle the just-in-time procurement process, so definitely opportunities there. But the energy may be more than the human labor costs for the same task. Yeah, true. Fair point. AI may struggle to reproduce the unique rakish angle of Graham's hat. If I do that, I'll look like Boy George. What do you reckon? I'm going to pass for Boy George. Hello. Rakish angles are in. Pacman says, did anyone spot the thumbs up Rachel Reeves gave her backbench when she was listing off the millions going to mayors and MPs? The school projects, lol. Yeah. Uranus is a gas giant, says Ernie. It sure is, mate. It sure is. AI is such a broad term, just like politics. People conflate it as one entity and then contradict themselves by trying to argue over the nuances. AI has use in certain areas, but overall not good. I disagree respectfully. I think it's a bit like the internet. It can be used for great evil or it can be used for good stuff. And we should be encouraging it to be used for really good stuff. Like AI, spotting cancers and things like that. The applications in medicine are going to be amazing. Learning how to go through folding proteins and stuff that just humans haven't got time to do. All that kind of stuff. Any simple task that needs to be repeated ad nauseum, it's pretty good at. But otherwise, it's fucking stupid. It reminds me of there's an episode of Red Dwarf where they talk about the scutters, which are the little mechanical dog things, with the hands coming out their faces. And Rimmer says, you tell them to watch the fucking oven, and they just sit there watching it while your food burns because you just said watch the oven. And it's true. It's like garbage in, garbage out. And there's so much nonsense on the internet, and I think that AI finds it very difficult to not sort out what's real and what's not. It just doesn't know. It's got no sense of context, and it never will. And that's another problem with robocars. They have no sense of context. If it has to make a moral decision over whether to, it's Halloween and someone's dressed as a giant animal, whether to plow into the thing that it thinks is an animal because it can't tell that it's a child in a costume, or whether to, plow into a lamppost, it might plow into the animal because it'll think, well, actually, if I plow into the animal, that's not going to kill the person in the car, is it? Got to make a moral decision, but it's not an animal. It's a child in a Halloween costume. But no sense of context, so, now that kid's dead. Anyway, here's a grey, talking politics. I don't know what the tune is there. He's a great Graham talking politics. Is that the tune? No, I don't know. AI is a tool. It is not evil in itself. Yeah, and I agree. It can be used for fucking shit. And we need to have laws in place. Like every single AI-generated image needs to have a watermark in it that can be read by AI generators that say, this is an AI-generated image. Every single AI-generated video must have a watermark in it that you can't get rid of, that you can't just crop out from the edge of the frame. You can't get rid of the fucking thing. That's got to be law. I'm not saying leave it to the AI companies to decide, what they think is right, because they don't give a fuck. They're just there for the money. We've got to have rules. We've got to have the fact that if they steal content from authors or they steal content from painters, from illustrators, from artists, then, without asking permission to steal that, they get sued. They have to fucking pay. They have to pay up. If someone uses their software in order to make a deep fake porn video of one of their classmates, then yeah, absolutely fucking sue that AI company out of existence. They need to put the tools in to stop people doing that. And if people do that using their tools, one, it should be absolutely evident where what AI function that came from. But also, the AI company in question should be sued out of the fucking universe for people using their tools in that way to do that thing. So there you go. And you can make this work for Adobe Photoshop and Adobe fucking Premiere, stuff that's offline, just have stuff in there that's got AI in it to know, actually, you are taking the head off someone else and putting it onto a naked body. You cannot do that using this software. It's got enough nous to go, nope, not doing that. In fact, if you type in certain prompts, like if I type in Old Trafford on fire into Adobe Premiere, into the AI, the Firefly plugin, it'll say no. It's not going to do it. It's not going. You have to draw it yourself. You have to, make some fire on another file, and you have to put that around Old Trafford, and then you have to put me there, setting the fire on top of Battlecat and holding up the World Cup with a 6-pack or whatever. I have to put it all together myself. It won't do it for me. I'm just saying that AI can be used to actually police the AI, but only if you make them do it. Only if you go, well, no. And it can identify porn. It can identify stuff that should not be on the internet. That should not be being made with these tools. But now we've got ChatGPT's owner saying, well, we've got to treat adults as adults. And I'm like, yeah, but the people who use it aren't just adults, are they, dickhead? So you're treating children as adults and allowing them to do horrible, horrible things like making deepfake porn with their classmates, which is a crime and should, have a custodial sentence. Absolutely. Large language model AI is good for streamlining, very good for shit posting, but it's still far too early for much else right now. Yeah. Bottom line, companies and countries for that matter won't be able to opt out of AI. Basic competition will see to that. I had an argument with Grok on the ECHR. It had a very right-wing bias, and I couldn't convince it that international standard was better than the national one. Grok is daft. Gave me a biryani recipe when I asked it to explain a tweet from a Sky Sports tweet. That's hilarious, the Backman. Imagine typing in, give me a review of what happened in this football match, and it's like, here's a recipe for biryani, and you're like, yeah, I think that we're always going to have, and in 5 years' time, if I'm sitting here, I'm being replaced by a robot, feel free to laugh at me, but it makes so many mistakes, and it doesn't know that it's made a mistake. While the error correction of this AI stuff is pretty shit at the moment, we're going to need humans to check and go, hang on. And what's it going to replace realistically? Like, AI writing is so obviously AI writing. There's so many signs, and it's not just M-dashes. There's certain techniques that it uses that is just a red flag that it was made by AI and it wasn't written by a human being. And I think that is something that it's going to be really obvious. So who's going to lose their job? Well, maybe someone whose job it is to do articles like clickbait shite. They'll lose their job. Oh no, what a shame. Maybe they could pursue their goal of writing a great American novel instead of doing fucking clickbait. Because I'll tell you now, AI is not going to do that. Maybe the people who write pulpy fucking paperbacks that are shit and don't have any life to them and are just whatever churn. What do they call it? Slop. We have slop at the moment. We have. This could be made by AI. Clickbait, shitty fucking novels, architecture. Modern architecture could be made by AI. No sense of context, no sense of continuity. You see things that they build, like that fucking pyramid in the middle of the Louvre. I'm like, you think that stealing the crown jewels was a fucking crime? Have you seen what they built in the middle of the fucking the courtyard there? Looks like a fucking shopping centre from the 1980s in fucking Milton Keynes. What the fuck is that doing there? Oh, it's a concept. It's a concept. It's a comment on the human condition or something. I don't give a fuck what it is. It looks fucking shite. Get rid of it. Why have you got it in the middle of this fucking Baroque palace? This fucking Milton Keynes shopping centre. Fucking chic. Yeah, great. Well done. You built. Or in where was it? In Las Vegas, where they built a fucking pyramid, didn't they? There, because it was going to be this great casino hotel. They're knocking it down. I think they already knocked it down because it was shit. Didn't fucking work. Do you know what pyramids work for? Fucking burying your fucking pharaohs. They don't work for art galleries, and they don't work for fucking shopping malls or for casinos. Fucking, they're just a shit thing. Don't get me started on flat roof pubs. I mean, God. Do you think a single architect who goes, yeah, I'm going to make a flat roof pub, actually ever drinks in a flat roof pub? No, they don't. They drink in their 800-year-old pub in their little village that they live in the fucking Cotswolds for all the money that they've made for making fucking shite for the rest of us to have to look at every day. But yeah, maybe some architects will be replaced by AI and maybe no one will notice. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that will bring a wave of human creativity back to architecture. I don't know. That'd be great, wouldn't it? And here's the thing. If AI makes the slop that we've seen and we've had to put up with, whether it's artistic slop or whether it's novels, writing, clickbait, architecture, whatever slop we've had to fucking deal with. The value of humans making this properly and putting time and effort into it, thinking like Christopher Wren, we're building for eternity, or like Antoni Gaudi in Barcelona being asked why he was spending so much time, doing these little fucking embellishments on the very top of the towers that no one was going to see because they're 300 meters up in the sky. And his response was, the angels will see them. Fucking brilliant. Bring that back. Bring that back and pay people loads and loads of money to do the stuff that at the moment, humans making that kind of stuff isn't valued. You've got some incredible artists out there who just make fucking Hallmark fucking Christmas cards because they can't sell their art. I think that's gonna, I might be wrong, but I think it's gonna be easier for people to sell their art that they actually make for themselves. Without fucking AI giving everyone 6 fingers and making each shot in a video different because no sense of continuity. No sense of continuity. Do you know who had a good sense of continuity? The fucking Egyptians. They kept their same fucking style for 3,000 years. That is mad, isn't it? The overall sense of style, and I know things changed. The older hieroglyphs that were carved into the walls came out. They were embossed, and the later ones were engraved because the embossing was a lot more difficult because you've got to chip out around each glyph. Whereas later on, they just put it in because that's easier. I mean, they after the Old Kingdom collapsed and they had the first intermediate period or whatever it was called, before the Middle Kingdom, they forgot how to make pyramids. They just couldn't make them later on. That's why they stopped making them. It wasn't because the pharaohs didn't want to have a pyramid. They looked at those pyramids and went, fucking hell, they're boss. Can anyone make me one of those motherfuckers? And they went, oh no, we made them 1,000 years ago, mate. You can't make them anymore. But the art style stayed the same. The techniques changed over time, but the art style, 3,000 years, mate. That's fucking solid. I like that. Sticking with it, sticking with the design that works, and loving it. Nowadays, it's like, oh my god, that was so last year. The Egyptians would be like, what? Anyway, Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. I'm pleased to confirm the markets are reacting in a promising way after Reeves's budget statement. Woohoo! So that's all good. Big Marvinsky says, having slaves helped. Oh, you take that back. They weren't slaves. The people who built the pyramids were not slaves. They were not slaves. They were seasonal workers. They had literally nothing to do in the months where they were not sowing or reaping, bringing in the harvest. And so they had these big government projects that they got to do. And no, it wasn't slaves. And we know it wasn't slaves because they were so well built. The pyramids are accurate to within an inch on each corner. And if they hadn't been so horrifically accurate, they would have collapsed. The level of skill that went into it, no way that was built by slaves who were like, under a lash. It's like, they would pay workers. Guarantee it. And there, are we screwed if we're on disability? No, there was nothing in there about taking away people's right to PIP or anything like that. The closest they got to that Rachel Reeves got, Sarah, was saying that we need to get people who are off work into work, which, as long as it's done in a way that people can get into, yeah, absolutely. Because I do think that one of the biggest killers of humans is boredom. And the barriers that are put up by society, especially for disabled people, to be able to get back into work is fucking disgraceful. And if Labour can bring down those barriers, great. I would rather see a lot more carrot than stick, though. I don't want people to lose their benefits because they haven't got a job yet. That's not the right way to do it. But I think that putting in reasonable adjustments so that people who have been off with long-term sicknesses can get back into work, whether that's working remotely or working, having facilities for their needs. Brilliant. Bring it on. And there you go. What? How dare the markets not crash after a Labour budget? Do they know how upset the Tories are? Gods, arrest them, says Stu Vengeance. Thank you so much for that. Listen, thanks everyone for watching. Sorry for going off on one about fucking AI and architecture at the end there. Didn't really have anything to do with the budget, but whatever. You know what I'm like. I'll be back at 6 o'clock tonight with Rach for the rabbit hole. Come jump down the rabbit hole with us together at 6. And until then, I will love you and leave you. Please just consider giving us a big, juicy subscribe. Give us a subscribe before you go if you're not already subscribed. And yeah, give us a like as well. We always like a like on this channel. And it doesn't cost anything. But if you would like to give us a like, I would like that very much. So until 6 o'clock tonight or 9 o'clock tomorrow morning for Morning Brew, I will say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.